Chapter 21. When the people in the group heard this, someone said, "So that's it. I never saw it before. Du Yu is so good at pretending. Yeah, he used to be quite humble when he was in school, but he turned out to be so vain." Some female classmates even said, "Yes, I looked at him when he was in school and thought he was pretty good. But now that I think about it, I think he is quite weak. It's better, Wang Yao. How about it? Have a class reunion when you have time, and let's all get together." "Haha, Mr. Wang, you are going to treat me to a treat when the time comes. You are already planning to buy a BMW, but the first one among us to own a luxury car, aren't you going to treat me to a treat to celebrate?" Yes, we are all waiting for your treat. Otherwise, once in society, women become the fastest and will be corrupted by money very quickly. They keenly grasped the key points of Wang Yao's words. Wang Yao pretended to be unintentional and said that he wanted to buy a BMW worth 500,000 yuan. Didn't he just want to show off? Those boys didn't feel it strongly yet, but the other girls immediately grasped the point. For them, Wang Yao, who can spend 500,000 yuan to buy a BMW, will be a diamond king in the future. Compared with Du Yu, who went home to farm, he was in the sky and on the earth. Most people will do things that flatter others and undermine others. So each of these women began to praise Wang Yao and belittle Du Yu. This made Wang Yao feel very useful. He laughed loudly and replied, "No problem, no problem. When I buy a new car, I will drive it to pick you up. Let's have a good meal and I'll treat you. Don't save money for me then. I can still do it by treating you to a meal at a 5-star hotel." The women in the group all smiled happily when they heard this, and immediately responded to the message, "Okay. Master Wang, we are waiting for you to pick us up in your BMW. That's right, don't call Du Yu at the class reunion. He's so vain now, it's pointless to call him." Wang Yao became even more proud when he heard this, and replied, "Call him. Why not call him? For the class reunion, I must call him. I have to show him the difference between him, a farmer, and his classmates." Why does this sound like a villain? There was a classmate in the group who was close to Du Yu and couldn't bear to hear it. "Wang Yao, what do you mean? Isn't it just buying a BMW worth 500,000 yuan? What's there to show off? Look at how proud you are. And you women, you even proposed not to call Du Yu at the class reunion. What do you mean? You think you've done well, and you don't look down on your old classmates, right? It's disgusting to see you all fawning over Wang Yao. What kind of class reunion is this? If you do it this way, is it called a class reunion? Why don't you just have a class reunion with Wang Yao? You can just say that you want to have a blind date with Wang Yao, right? Why bother to disgust people here under the guise of a class reunion? In the past few years, there have been many misunderstandings about class reunions in society, and it's only you people who have made it so evil. Don't call me a name for this class reunion you're having, I won't go. It won't make people angry. After all, it has only been a year since graduation, and many of the male students who have just graduated are still full of energy, and some have not yet learned how to follow the crowd." At this time, there were a few people who dared to speak up. Wang Yao was so angry that he was gnashing his teeth, and the female classmates he was talking about were blushing and ashamed. Fortunately, no one could see it through the screen. Du Yu didn't know all this. At this time, he had already discussed the customized configuration with the female salesperson. The other party said, "Hello sir, based on your configuration, I have calculated the price. The two cars together are about 6.83 million. I can give you a preferential price, 6.8 million, do you think that's okay?" Du Yu nodded and said, "Okay, but I don't know when I can get the car." The other party replied, "You pay the deposit now, and the goods will arrive in up to 10 days. But you need to pay 50% of the deposit. Do you pay by credit card or by transfer?" Du Yu said, 10 days. You may not have time to come by then. How about this? I'll pay the full price. Can you deliver the goods to your door then? Also, can you help me get the license plate of the car and go through all the procedures?" When the other party heard this, he immediately smiled and said, "Of course, no problem. For customers like you, of course we can deliver it to your door. As for the car license plate, we also have dedicated people to help you handle these procedures. We can do it for you together. Okay, give me an account number and transfer the money. Du Yu waved his hand. Wang Yao in the distance was stunned. What is going on? Why does the rhythm seem a little wrong? Is this rhythm a little off track? Director, there's something wrong with your script. Shouldn't this Du Yu be a poor boy who can't afford to pay, and then be despised by the female salesperson? Why is this saleswoman smiling so brightly now? What's going on? Then he quickly saw Du Yu signing the contract that the saleswoman brought over. He couldn't help but leaned over and asked, "What's going on?" "Just ask him to sign. Are you sure he can afford it?" The saleswoman responded unceremoniously. "Of course this respected customer can afford it. He has paid the full amount, totaling 6.8 million, and our company has received it. Those who work in sales are very good at observing people's emotions. She has long seen that the relationship between Du Yu and Wang Yao is not very good. She is naturally targeting her clients. After all, she can get tens of thousands in commission from Du Yu. Does Wang Yao have anything to do with her? So of course you are welcome to speak." At this time, the manager of the 4S store also came out and entertained Du Yu enthusiastically. This scene confused Wang Yao. At the same time, through the video, other students in his class also saw this scene. The managers of the 4S store are so enthusiastic, which shows that Du Yu did buy a car worth more than 6 million yuan, otherwise the other party wouldn't be able to do this. At this moment, many people felt slapped in the face. Du Yu's roommate, Zhang Wei, who just helped him speak up, even sarcastically said, "Wang Yao, that's a slap in the face. What's so great about buying a BMW worth 500,000 yuan? Du Yu spent more than 6 million yuan to buy a car and didn't care about his success. You bought a car for more than 500,000 yuan. You paid tens of thousands of it yourself, and your father subsidized it for more than 400,000 yuan. What's there to show off? Isn't it just that you have a good father? In the end, you can't even compete with my father." Du Yu's family situation is not good, but 1 year after he graduated, he bought a car worth more than 6 million yuan by relying on his own ability. You show off how awesome your dad is all day long, show off your wealth all day long, and now you can't even compare to your dad, and you're still here mocking Du Yu for being a poor boy. What a dog, you look down on others. At this time, some female students in the group also spoke. "Yes, Wang Yao, you too, you spoke randomly without understanding the situation, causing everyone to misunderstand. By the way, let's organize a class reunion. Who will invite Du Yu? We haven't seen each other for a long time. It's time to keep in touch and bond." Zhang Wei spoke out again. "Xiao Yanyan, stop making sarcastic remarks here. You were the one who screamed the most joyfully just now. You were the one who suggested holding a class reunion without calling Du Yu. Why did you change your mind all of a sudden? You women really disappoint me. How long have we been in society, and everyone has become so green tea?" Du Yu also saw what happened in the group of classmates, but he just watched with cold eyes and did not speak. Since he returned to the countryside, except for a few of his classmates who were close friends with him, he has had very little contact with them. Coupled with what happened today, he also knows which people he can get along with in the future and which people he can only be casual acquaintances with. As for the suggestion from the group to hold a class reunion, he was not interested either. "I have no interest in performing the plot in the novel where classmates pretend to be slapped in the face, it is too childish. I just made a separate appointment with Zhang Wei and a few of his close classmates to get together in the evening, and forget about the rest." At this time, Wang Yao stood aside, his face turning green and white. He tried to show off but was slapped in the face. Now he felt so embarrassed that he was digging his toes on the floor. Fortunately, no one could see his current situation through the mobile phone screen, otherwise he would have been even more embarrassed. At this time, he looked at Du Yu with eyes full of resentment, thinking in his heart, "You are so rich now, and you are pretending to be poor on purpose. Did you deliberately embarrass me? Some people are like this. When something goes wrong, they don't reflect on themselves. They always think that others are at fault." It had been like this since college. Du Yu didn't deliberately compete with the other party, but the other party regarded Du Yu as a competitor. If you can't compete, the other party will hold a grudge. At this time, he saw that the girls among his classmates were actively discussing about inviting Du Yu to attend the class reunion. The words were also filled with various flattering tones. This made him even more aggrieved. But he had no choice. With his family's conditions, it was impossible to buy a car worth 6 to 7 million. In the end, I could only turn off the video and ran away in despair. At this time, Du Yu, who had signed the contract, was sitting on the sofa, enjoying the meticulous care of the female salespeople in the 4S store. Although he bought a car, he couldn't get it today. He had to buy another car first for transportation. He just sat here playing with his mobile phone and browsing the web. Saleswomen wearing black stockings and high-heeled shoes would also come around from time to time. They always failed to brake properly, causing the vehicle to collide. Fortunately, they had 2 airbags, which could effectively mitigate the impact. Even if Du Yu had never experienced the thoughts of these saleswomen before, hadn't he learned about them from the internet? It's just that he doesn't like it. Du Yu is not afraid of driving second-hand cars, but he is afraid of driving cars that are 7 or even 10 second-hand. At this time, he was ostensibly playing with his mobile phone, but he was already distracted, so naturally he didn't care at all about the hookups of these saleswomen. Just now, Tushin Yaya was added as his friend. At this time, on the throne of Tushin Monster Alliance, Tushin Yaya in red clothes was holding a pair of white jade bare feet, holding her cheeks with one hand, and quietly looking at the system interface. In fact, she had already seen the invitation to the Myriad World's food stealing system, but she had been thinking about whether to accept it. She was very cautious about the so-called system that suddenly appeared in her mind. After all, the world of Fox Fairy Matchmaker is a world where immortals and mortals are mixed, where there are cultivating immortals, magic, reincarnation, and body snatching. She also experienced a lot of intrigue. Therefore, she was skeptical about things that appeared in her mind before she understood the essence. So she thought about it and observed it for a long time, but she couldn't figure out what this thing called a system was using various methods. In this case, she decided to give it a try and accepted the friend edition. Because there is a time limit for accepting this friend edition, you only have 24 hours to consider it. She had a feeling. Although she still had doubts, she could feel it in a secret way. This seemed to be her opportunity. This allowed her to try boldly and became the last person to agree to be added as a friend after Du Yu sent out the invitation. After adding friends, she waited quietly to see what changes would happen. Du Yu entered Tushin Yaya's vegetable garden. He was very interested in what was in the other person's vegetable garden or orchard. After all, among the 4 worlds added this time, theoretically speaking, the world of Fox Fairy Matchmaker is the most advanced one. After all, the power system there is more powerful, and there are immortals and monsters. As the leader of Monster Alliance, Tushin Yaya's vegetable garden should have many unknown spirit medicines growing, right? And Tushin Yaya's vegetable garden did not disappoint him. Du Yu had never seen any of the several plants grown inside. Acacia grass, sad bamboo, dream flower, evergreen fern, ice flower fruit, shape-changing grass. It's a pity that I can only see the name of each one, and I don't know what its use is. But listening to their names, some of them can roughly guess their uses. For example, the evergreen fern is probably spirit medicine that can make people live forever. Acacia may be an item related to love. Can the transformation grass make fairies transform? At least that's what the names of these items seemed to be like, but for Mengdao flower and ice flower fruit, he couldn't guess what their specific uses were. But it doesn't matter, as long as you steal one, you can know all the information. So he clicked on the ice flower fruit to steal it. Ding, the steal was successful and I got an ice flower fruit. The ice flower fruit underwent some changes when it crossed the latitudes of time and space, and became the Schwanen ice flower fruit. The Schwanen ice flower fruit contains the power of the Yin Schwanen. After taking it, it can greatly enhance the power of ice attribute spells and speed up the practice of ice attribute skills. Ordinary people have a high probability of acquiring ice attributes after taking it. Ability. Congratulations on getting a Schwanen ice flower fruit. Congratulations to your friend Tushin Yaya for winning a Schwanen ice flower fruit at the same time. Du Yu was surprised to receive such information. It turns out that ice flower fruit has such effect. It can help people practice ice attribute exercises and spells. Naturally, he does not have these techniques and spells, but the next effect is an unexpected surprise for him. If ordinary people take it, there is a high probability that they can awaken ice attributes. Does this mean I can get superpowers? If there weren't too many people around the 4S store, he might have wanted to try the effect of this fruit right away. This is really going to get ice superpowers, that would be really cool. At the same time, Tushin Yaya was also surprised, and her jade feet that were originally folded together and crossed her legs couldn't help but fall down. He leaned forward slightly, as if he could see the system interface more clearly. It turns out to be Schwanen ice flower fruit. Is this real? Tushin Yaya's ability is to control ice and cast various ice spells. The reason why she planted the ice flower fruit was also because the fruit produced by this plant could speed up her cultivation. So she grows a lot of these ice flower fruits in her garden, and she eats one every day. But on top of the ordinary ice flower fruit, there is also the legendary Schwanen ice flower fruit. It is an ordinary ice flower fruit that grows in the land of Schwanen. After absorbing the air of Schwanen, it mutates and obtains the fruit. The power of ice contained in a Schwanen ice flower fruit is 100 times that of ordinary ice flower fruit, and it is purer and easier to absorb. For monks who practice ice skills and spells, Monster Immortal is a supreme grade training resource. It's just that Schwanen ice flower fruit is extremely rare. It can be said that it can be encountered but not sought. In the past 500 years, although she had obtained some, they were not many. But now she got a Schwanen ice flower fruit so easily and inexplicably, which made her feel very surprised. She stretched out her jade hand and summoned the Schwanen ice flower fruit from the system space. She felt the fruit carefully to see that it was indeed real. This made her mouth curl into a cold smile. Interesting, this system is very interesting. Although I don't know how you got here, it seems that the advantages of getting this so-called system outweigh the disadvantages. At this moment, she received a message from Du Yu. The other party sent a selfie. Hello, Sister Yaya. My name is Du Yu. I would like to ask for Sister Yaya's perfected being photo. Also, say hello to Sisters Hong Hong and Rongrong for me, and also say hello to Susu for me. Are Wang Fugi and Qingtong together, and continuing their relationship? Did Susu finally become Sister Hong Hong, or finally merge with her? Did she renew her relationship with Bai Yu Dongfang Yu? Has there been any results in your world now? This dead author here hasn't produced any results yet. I'm really worried. Sister Yaya, please give me a spoiler. The other party's information made Tushin Yaya stunned. From the information, she deduced that the other party knew Tushin Hong Hong, Tushin Rongrong, Tushin Susu, and even Bai Yuchu. He also knew that Tushin Hong Hong and Tushin Susu were two sides of the same body, and that the first month of Bai was the reincarnation of the first month of Dongfang. He even knew about the love entanglement between Wang Fugi and Qingtong. According to the system introduction, since the other party is from another world, why does he know all this so clearly? But the last two sentences are meaningless. What kind of dead author and what kind of spoilers? What does it mean? The world where Tushin Yaya lives has also evolved to a certain level of technology, with many high-rise buildings. Of course she knew what the word spoiler meant, but when it was put here, she was completely confused. So she followed the system rules, clicked randomly in Du Yu's orchard, and stole a Millennium tomato plant that Du Yu had just transplanted today. Ding, the steal was successful and I got 2 kilograms of Millennium tomatoes. The Millennium Little Tomato mutated as it crossed the latitudes of time and space and became a pure yang tomato. Long-term consumption of pure yang tomatoes can enhance the training speed of fire practitioners and can purify the quality of pure yang flames. Side effects. Practitioners or ordinary people with water or ice attributes who consume it for a long time will have a higher probability of activating fire attribute abilities or body refining qualities. There will be no conflict between water and fire. Congratulations on winning 2 kilograms of Chunyang tomatoes. Congratulations to your friend Du Yu for winning 2 kilograms of Chunyang tomatoes at the same time. Oh my god, this was another surprise that surprised Tushin Yaya. This thing could actually increase the quality of pure yang yan. It can also increase the training speed of fire attribute cultivators. This thing is a rare sacred object for the first month of Bai, the first month of the East. And its side effects are what makes Tushin Yaya even more attracted to it. She herself is a cultivator of the ice attribute Monster Immortal. She has cultivated the power of ice to the absolute realm. In terms of the nature of the power, she has reached an almost inexhaustible state. If she wants to break through the realm and achieve higher achievements, she must involve the cultivation of other attributes. Hanbing belongs to water, so now she is faced with two paths, either the path of the 5 elements interdependence, or the path of the 5 elements interrelationship. The 5 elements are interdependent. Metal generates water, and water generates wood. She can switch to metallic or wood attributes. This path is relatively safe, but the increase in strength is relatively slow until the cultivation is complete. The 5 elements are in conflict with each other. Earth restrains water, and water restrains fire. She can cultivate both the earth attribute and the fire attribute. This path is very dangerous. The energy of the 2 attributes are in conflict with each other. If you are not careful and don't master the balance well, it is easy to go crazy and become possessed, or to explode and die. But the advantage is that when the 2 attribute energies that are mutually reinforcing and incompatible are used at the same time, the effect of 1 + 1 is greater than 2, and the power is doubled. But now this Chunyang tomato has solved this problem for her. Using this kind of small tomatoes for practice can perfectly solve the situation where water and fire are incompatible, and speed up the practice of fire attribute techniques. This kind of treasure that can reconcile attributes is extremely rare even in their world, and it is a rare treasure. This couldn't help but bring out a smile on Tushin Yaya's lips, and there was an unexpected gain. After putting away the tomatoes, she left a message for Du Yu. What do you mean by author spoilers? Do you know much about our world? Du Yu's 10 messages had not yet been used up. When he saw Tushin Yaya's reply, he immediately replied, "We call your world the Fox Fairy Little Matchmaker world, and it is a world created by one of our animations." Quote, "What you should know about anime is that it's a world drawn by one of us. But he hasn't finished painting yet, so I don't know what the subsequent plot will be like. Is your parallel world finished?" After seeing the other party's message, Tushin Yaya's eyes widened involuntarily, and her whole body trembled. What? Our world was actually drawn by someone from their world. Then isn't this person just like the creator god? This guy named Du Yu, what kind of world is he in? Is it the supreme world where countless creation gods gather? It should be like this, otherwise, no random person can draw our side of the great thousand world. When Tushin Yaya thought of this, a trace of emotion flashed across her calm face, and her heart beat uncontrollably. He thought to himself, that's right, only in this kind of world can a random fruit picked from his orchard be such a rare treasure. But at the same time, Tushin Yaya couldn't help but clenched her fists, and her whole body showed a trace of anger. My sister and I were actually painted. We were created by people from another world. Our fates are all painted by each other's brush. The feeling of having her fate manipulated like this made her very powerless and angry. In an instant, the monstrous power all over her body vibrated violently, and a violent cold air spread around, freezing everything around her unconsciously. This scared all the monster races serving around her and ran away. Then one by one hid in the faraway frozen world, each one with lingering fears. What happened to the leader? Why did his mood suddenly change? What's going on with this actual anger and murderous intent? Who made her angry? After a long time, Tushin Yaya calmed down the coldness in her body and sent 2 messages to Du Yu. Tell that author that I, Tushin Yaya, will one day break the shield of the world and escape from the destiny he controls. In addition, tell him that no matter what the outcome is, my sister Tushin Honghong must be revived, otherwise I will kill him through the wall of this world and fight him to the end of the world. Seeing Tushin Yaya's reply, Du Yu laughed. It is indeed Sister Yaya, domineering. Hey, what would the author of Fox Fairy Matchmaker think if he knew that he was threatened by the characters he wrote? But I won't tell you. I'm looking forward to the day when Sister Yaya breaks through the wall of the world. The characters in my paintings will rub against me. This will be very interesting. He has run out of messages today and has not replied to Tushin Yaya's words. At this time, Tushin Yaya's mood was also very complicated. Finally, she snorted, took out the Chunyang tomatoes she just got, swallowed them in her mouth, and started practicing. Only by investing in cultivation can he suppress the distracting thoughts that keep popping up in his heart. No matter what the fate is in the future, only by gaining stronger power can we break away from the shackles of fate. At this moment, she practiced harder, eager to become stronger. After leaving the Dongfang 4S store, I went to the Lamborghini store and finally bought a purple Lamborghini Urus. Du Yu drove away in his Lamborghini Urus amid the nostalgic gazes of a group of sales staff. The car drove on the road, attracting the attention of countless people along the way, not that these people knew how valuable the car was. But the temperament and appearance of Lamborghini Urus are eye-catching. Of course, although everyone doesn't know how much this car is worth, they still have a basic appreciation. At a glance, they know that this car is probably not cheap. So other cars on the road also tried their best to avoid Du Yu's car. The main thing is that drivers who are often on the road will recognize this car and know that this fleet is not cheap. In the afternoon, I made an appointment with some of my close classmates Zhang Wei and others to have a meal. Although many people in the classmate group, especially the girls, enthusiastically invited Du Yu to attend the class reunion in the evening, Du Yu ignored them at all. After having lunch with Zhang Wei and the others, we drove directly home. Zhang Wei and the others looked at Du Yu's car driving away, and they all sighed. It's only been a year since graduation, how come the gap between everyone is so big? I originally thought that Du Yu went back to his hometown to farm, and his former top students would disappear from everyone. But I didn't expect that gold will always shine, and talents will be praised wherever they go. Is farming so profitable now? How many millions can you earn a year? Yes, Wang Yao spent more than 6 million yuan to buy 2 Dongfang warriors during the live broadcast, but now he drives a Lamborghini Urus, which also costs more than 3 million yuan. How rich is he now? These are 3 luxury cars, and the total cost is tens of millions. At this moment, they were all a little unsure, and they all felt eager to become farmers. New friends were added to the group, and Queen Changsun, Xiaofeng and Bai Yuekui also received the message. Queen Changsun has been busy working in the system orchard all day long. Planting something for a while, taking some beautiful selfies for a while, so she was the first to receive the message. I immediately clicked to enter Tushan Yaya's orchard and vegetable garden. She was also surprised when she saw Tushan Yaya's profile picture and basic information. What? Fox Immortal. Reincarnated Red Immortal. Is this really an immortal? There are really 2 fox ears. The reincarnated Red Fairy is the fox fairy who helps monsters and people hold the red thread. Isn't this Yu Lao? Could it be that the gods added this time or really the gods from Heavenly World? Then she saw Tushan Yaya's basic information introduction, the current leader of the Tushan Fox clan and the leader of the Monster Alliance. Empress Changsun had heard of the Tushan Fox clan. After all, it was also recorded in the historical books of their world. Legend has it that when Deu was controlling floods, he encountered a 9-tailed white fox. His surname was Tushan, and his name was Naviao. He was a member of the royal family of the Fox clan. Deu married Tushan Naviao as his wife, and later succeeded in controlling the flood. Since then, the 9-tailed white fox Tushan has become a symbol of auspiciousness. This made Empress Changsun couldn't help but sigh. It turns out that the mythical legend is true. There are really 9-tailed white foxes in this world, and there is also the Tushan clan, and the other party is also a fox fairy. Whether it's monster immortal or human immortal, they are both immortal. What will grow in her garden? Queen Changsun was very curious and her heartbeat was beating fast. At first glance, there were 6 kinds of plants: acacia grass, tragic bamboo, dream flower, evergreen fern, ice flower fruit, and transformation grass. Empress Changsun fell in love with the evergreen fern at first sight. When she heard the name, she felt that this thing should be related to longevity. She clicked to steal without hesitation. Ding! The steal is successful and you get the evergreen fern. 1. The evergreen fern mutated across time and space and became the 1,000-year-old evergreen fern. 1,000-year-old evergreen fern possesses the power of time. Taking it can increase the lifespan of a mortal by 120 years. And it tastes great. It is a rare delicacy in the immortal world. Long-term use can improve your cultivation qualifications. Congratulations on getting a 1,000-year-old everlasting fern. Congratulations to your friend Tushan Yaya for getting a 1,000-year-old everlasting fern at the same time. Seeing this information, Queen Changsun couldn't help but feel excited. Sure enough, this evergreen fern is something related to longevity. Oh my god, this grass can increase your lifespan by 120 years. This is simply a sacred grass. Yes, Isn't this the divine grass? The opponents are all immortals, they should be from the immortal world. Isn't the grass from the immortal world the divine grass? Empress Changsun was ecstatic. Oh my god, today is such a dream day for me. I actually got such an amazing system. Be able to connect with good friends in other myriad worlds. These people are so magical. Some come from the future, some come from the immortal world, and some come from other magical worlds. With the help of this system, His Majesty and I will be able to govern the great Tang dynasty to become more prosperous and powerful for generations to come and last forever. With your Majesty's great talents and strategies, if you can live for hundreds of years, why don't the whole world surrender? This made Empress Changsun feel a rush of heat, and she felt so excited that she couldn't help but feel excited all over her body. At this time, only by removing excess clothing can you feel cooler. Then take some beautiful selfies to express your joy. Only by doing more difficult moves and more challenges can the excitement brought by the adrenal glands be relieved. She kept taking pictures, and she didn't know how many pictures she took before she felt satisfied. At the same time, Bai Yuekui was on a mission, and Xiaofeng was on his way to the Shaolin Temple. Although he received information on the way, he did not pay attention to it immediately. Du Yu returned to his cabin in the orchard. The sun was setting and the sky was already dark. Du Yu just began to sort out his gains from the day. After just adding 4 friends in one day, he obtained 1,000-year-old Changbai Mountain Wild Ginseng, 3,000-year-old Changbai Mountain Wild Ginseng, 11,500-year-old Changbai Mountain Wild Ginseng, and 3,200-year-old Changbai Mountain Wild Ginseng. Strain. 200-year-old ginseng plants were sold, leaving 30 plants left. Each strain of ginseng has the effect of curing cancer and increasing lifespan in a small amount. The older the year, the more lifespan will be increased. 50 pounds of time crystal pears. It has the effect of rejuvenating and beautifying the skin. 30 blood recovering apples. Healing saint grade, it melts in the mouth and specializes in treating various internal injuries. As long as you are still breathing, you can be resurrected with full blood after eating it. 1 millennium purple Yun Ganoderma plant, 2 800-year purple Yun Ganoderma plants, 9 500-year purple Yun Ganoderma plants, and 24 purple Yun Ganoderma plants that are more than 100 years old. Ordinary people can increase their happiness and longevity after taking it. After taking it, martial arts practitioners can increase their skill by 30 years for every 100 years of medicine. Purify 50 pounds of crystal pears. It can quickly replenish physical strength, and can purify the influence of scarlet pigment, making it immune to the harm of scarlet pigment within 24 hours. It also has the effect of calming the nerves and refreshing the brain, and has a good effect on various mental diseases such as insomnia, anxiety, and depression. 50 kilograms of mana source wheat seeds. It can be eaten and grown as seeds. When planting seeds, 1 pound of seeds can be sown in 1 acre of land and harvest about 1,000 kilograms of mana source wheat. Mana source wheat contains rich life essence, which can greatly replenish human vitality. Long-term consumption, 1,000 kilograms, can extend lifespan by 20 years. A piece of Schwanen ice flower fruit. After taking it, it can greatly enhance the power of ice attribute spells and speed up the practice of ice attribute skills. If ordinary people take it, there is a high probability that they can obtain ice attribute powers. 2 pounds of Chunyang tomatoes. It can increase the speed of practicing fire attribute skills, and has a high probability of awakening fire attribute abilities or fire attribute body refining qualities. Every item in here is something that can shock the world. He got so much in one day today. Moreover, 2 centennial ginseng plants were sold for 610 million. From now on, he no longer has to worry about money. If nothing else, he would rarely sell out the items he would obtain in the future. Use the useful things among them if you can use them. Especially now that he is rich, Du Yu feels that there is a mismatch between his strength and wealth. This gave him a sense of crisis. How to turn these things into strength? Among these items, the time crystal pear and the blood recovery apple are auxiliary items and will not be considered for the time being. Everything else seems to increase strength. 1,000-year-old ginseng and 100-year-old ginseng, although their main function is to treat cancer, they can also increase some life. But it also has the effect of improving human physique. Once your physique is improved, whether you are exercising or practicing, you will get twice the result with half the effort. After taking Xian Ganoderma, your power can be increased by 30 years for every 100 years of medicine. Although this refers to the effect of practicing martial artist, Do You believes that the huge energy has not disappeared, but is just stored in the body, waiting to be developed in a reasonable way. Purifying crystal pear's main function seems to be healing, but it also has the effect of quickly replenishing physical strength. Use this after exercise to quickly replenish physical strength, consolidate exercise effects, and help increase strength. Mana source wheat contains rich life essence, which can greatly replenish human vitality. Although the introduction is like this, you must know when watching anime that the source of life is one of the sources of strength for humans in the mana ecosystem. Therefore, if this thing is used properly, it should also be able to enhance physical fitness and increase personal strength. Needless to say, Schwanen ice flower fruit and pure yang tomato, one can awaken the ice attribute power, and the other can awaken the fire attribute power. Awakening superpowers can definitely increase your strength dramatically. There must be a sequence of how to take these things. Do You thought for a while and decided to take 1,000-year-old ginseng first. According to the introduction of Lingshan, there are no side effects whether it is taken for 1,000 years or 100 years, and it will not harm the body due to excessive potency. Then take the purifying crystal pear to maintain maximum energy and activate the refreshing effect. It is enough to leave 10 kilograms of mana source wheat as seeds, and the rest can be eaten. By taking it, you gain more vitality and activate a stronger constitution. Then take Xian Ganoderma to add strong internal strength and energy to your body. Having stronger energy and gaining a stronger physique by taking these items, taking Schwanen ice flower fruit and pure yang tomatoes should be more helpful in activating superpowers. After activating the superpower, according to science, energy has no distinction between high and low, and any form of energy can be transformed into each other. Then through supernatural powers, the huge energy of Xian Ganoderma can be absorbed, and perhaps that internal energy can be converted into supernatural powers. Or you can refine your inner strength through superpowers and obtain the effects of martial Dao training. After clarifying his thoughts, Du You first took out a millennium spiritual ginseng and swallowed it in 3 mouthfuls. The mouth is full of fragrance and crunchy when chewed. It quickly turns into liquid juice in the mouth and flows into one's belly. Immediately afterwards, Du You clearly felt a strong warm current spreading into his limbs. A warm and comfortable feeling made him moan uncontrollably. Then the body excretes a lot of impurities. Du You immediately fetched 2 basins of well water and washed away the impurities on his body. Then he conducted some tests and felt that his body's strength had increased a lot. Sure enough, Millennium Spirit Ginseng can not only increase lifespan and treat cancer, but also has the effect of changing the human body's constitution. Although it was not very obvious, 1,000-year-old spiritual ginseng only doubled his physical constitution, but it was enough. Generally in martial arts novels, the 1,000-year spiritual ginseng can also increase one's skill, and it can increase one's skill for decades or hundreds of years. Du You estimated that he did not have the appropriate cultivation techniques, so many of its medicinal effects could not be absorbed. Otherwise, it would definitely not be just this effect. Although it is a bit wasteful, there is not much we can do at this time. Then he ate 2 more purifying crystal pears. He felt a cold air flow through his body, and all fatigue was swept away. And his mind is particularly clear, as if cool mint has been stuffed into his brain, and it is running very fast. Du You immediately took another pound of steamed mana origin wheat and began to feast on it. However, what surprised him was that he finished the pound of wheat in 3 mouthfuls and felt that he was not full yet. Since he wasn't full, Du You followed his own instincts. He knew that his body must be in need of this. Then he ate 10 kilograms of mana origin wheat in a row before he was full, which made him feel as if his whole body was boiling with energy. This feeling made him feel full of motivation. After testing, his physique was now 3 times its original size. He used to be able to lift an object of 80 kilograms to his death, but now he can easily lift 250 kilograms. This power is more terrifying than an Olympic weightlifting champion. Then he tested his running speed, and the speed of 100 meters reached 8 seconds and 6. This is another terrifying result that surpasses the Olympic sprint champion. All this shows that his physique is far beyond that of ordinary people, that he is about to break through the limits of human beings, and is about to enter the non-human realm. After making all preparations, he took out Ganoderma. He didn't dare to take Ganoderma for thousands of years. Although this thing has no side effects, it has been suggested that every 100 years of medicine can increase the skill by 30 years. He was afraid that he would not be able to absorb it if he took too much, so he only took the smallest 130-year-old Ganoderma lucidum to try first. After eating it, he felt a majestic energy burst out in his stomach, like a blazing furnace. Although the energy is very hot and fierce, it does not appear in martial arts novels, the particularly painful process of absorbing genius treasures. On the contrary, the process is very comfortable. And Du could clearly feel that after the energy dispersed into his body, it was constantly improving his body's functions, making his physical fitness stronger and stronger. At the same time, Du was cruel, picked up the Schwanenise flower grass and stuffed it into his mouth. He had a feeling that he was already in the best condition at this time, and taking this plant would have the highest probability of activating his powers. After taking Schwanenise flower and grass, Du sat cross-legged on the ground while studying martial arts novels, pretending to try to absorb the effects of the medicine. Although he knew that this posture might be useless, it was a psychological comfort. This can be considered an effort, right? Soon, a layer of frost appeared around Du, and slowly behind his body, snowflakes formed a halo. Du seemed to have some insights. He stretched out his hand and grabbed a few more ginseng and purple Ganoderma, stuffing them into his mouth. The ice halo behind him continued to solidify, like substance. And the frost under him continued to spread and expand around him, and soon the entire 10-meter radius was covered by a blanket of frost and ice. At this time, Du opened his eyes and looked around, showing a slightly surprised look. Success. I activated the ice power. After being overjoyed, Du took advantage of the victory and took pure young tomatoes to try to see if he could activate the fire power. After swallowing a few more ginseng and purple Ganoderma, Du's right palm spread out, and suddenly a ball of flame burst out. Then, in the ice halo behind him, flames began to slowly spread until they occupied half of the halo. If anyone were watching at this time, they would find that half of Du's body was covered in frost, while the other half was steaming with flames. The radius around his body is 15 meters, half cold and half hot. He actually activated the fire attribute ability again. If Tushin Yaya were by his side, he would be very surprised. In her world, most practitioners specialize in one attribute. When they have cultivated the power of one attribute to the extreme, they will find ways to develop the ability of another attribute. And this process is very dangerous. There are very few practitioners who are born with dual attributes, and every one of them is a genius. It's really enviable that Du, who has just started practicing, has dual attributes, and they are two attributes that are incompatible with each other. Not only that, earth-shaking changes were also taking place in Du's body. The energy of ice and fire is constantly intertwined, improving his physical quality. At the same time, the medicinal effects of the Ganoderma lucidum and Ganoderma lucidum that are eaten are constantly being stimulated. While being continuously absorbed and devoured by the energy of ice and fire, the excess energy is also constantly squeezed by them. A vortex was formed where the energy of ice and fire intertwined. This energy gathered in the vortex. Under the balance of energy of ice and fire, it continued to condense and finally undergo a qualitative change. Then formed innate true chi, the envy of everyone in the world. It can be said that Du didn't understand anything and relied solely on taking drugs. As a result, he developed an incredible body refining quality and gained an astonishing internal strength and supernatural powers. At this time, the intensity of the internal force in his body has exceeded 100 years. If he went to Xiaofeng's world, even Xiaofeng would probably be surprised. But it's a pity that Du doesn't have any martial arts secrets. Now he only has internal power but can't activate it, just like Duan Yu had just obtained the profound internal power. But back then, Duan Yu still had a 6-meridian divine sword that sometimes didn't work and could exert his inner strength. But Du has nothing now. This innate true chi internal force can only be temporarily stored in the body and become an energy source. Taking so many drugs at the same time, the energy dissipated also transformed his body's physical strength to 5 times that of ordinary people. At this time, his hands have more than 400 kilograms of power, and his speed in the 100-meter dash can break through to less than 7 seconds. He is already a Superman. When he stood up, he tried to control the ability of ice and fire, and slowly controlled the heat and cold around him. Du Yu appeared again with a changed appearance. The skin all over his body is as delicate and smooth as crystal, making women jealous to death. But he doesn't have those bodybuilder-like muscles all over his body, but while he becomes handsome, he is full of masculine atmosphere. The body has clear lines and does not have 8-pack abs, but it makes people look very comfortable and feel full of strength. His fingers have no calluses and are as soft as silk, but when they are brought together, they can easily crush a glass, possessing surprising strength. At the same time, his eyes became brighter, seeming to shine in the night. When he moved his eyes, he could clearly see the wings of a mosquito 10 meters away. The opponent's high-speed trembling wings were clearly visible in Du Yu's eyes as if they were 10 times slower. Then there was his short hair, which had grown past his waist without even realizing it. The hair is clearly defined, black with green, and shiny, just like the bright moon reflected in the pond at night. It would be a pity if such good hair was cut off. This made Du Yu, who was originally planning to cut off his hair and keep it short, not have the heart to do so. Finally, I combed my hair into a single ponytail style worn by ancient gentlemen. I thought this would look a bit girly, but when I looked in the mirror, I saw that he was so handsome. Coupled with Du Yu's now extremely handsome and angular face and figure, not only is he not girly at all, but he also looks gentle and polite, like a handsome young man. If paired with an ancient costume, he would be like an ancient nobleman who came from transmigrated time and space. Give him another sword, and he will be the invincible swordsman who dominates the world, a figure like Examen Quaishui. This made Du Yu couldn't help laughing. It looks like I have to customize some ancient costumes for myself when I have time. Although he has long hair, no one will doubt his gender. It just makes people think that this long hair really suits him. If you were walking on the street, I don't know how many little girls would scream. Just when Du Yu was taking various items to improve his strength. Xiao Feng had been traveling all day and was sitting by the campfire recalling the ups and downs of the day. Only then did he have time to enter the system interface and see several other friends except Du Yu. Then he also stole a ginseng plant from Queen Changsun. Ding, the steal was successful and you got a century-old ginseng, one plant. The spiritual ginseng changed when it transmigrated time and space. It increased its medicinal age by 500 years and became a 600-year-old wild spiritual ginseng. In the process, 2 500-year-old wild spiritual ginsengs were multiplied and produced 13 a century-old wild ginseng. Congratulations on getting 1 600-year-old wild ginseng, 2 500-year-old wild ginseng, and 1300-year-old wild ginseng. Congratulations to your friend, Queen Changsun, for receiving 1 600-year-old wild ginseng, 2 500-year-old wild ginseng, and 1300-year-old wild ginseng. This made Xiao Feng overjoyed. He was even more surprised when he took out these spiritual ginseng from the system space. The 100-year-old ginseng here seemed to him like a 1,000-year-old ginseng. Each piece of spiritual ginseng eaten can increase his power for more than 30 years. Xiao Feng felt that it was very timely to be able to increase his own strength when he was facing a blood feud. Finally, Xiao Feng stole the mana source wheat from Bai Yuekui. Xiao Feng had a large appetite. In addition to leaving 10 kilograms of wheat for seeds, the other 40 kilograms were steamed directly. Unexpectedly, after eating 40 pounds of wheat, he felt that the wheat did not produce any impurities, and all turned into a warm current and was completely absorbed by the body. Then he felt the marrow-cutting effect of the I Ching, which caused his body to expel a lot of impurities, and his martial arts qualifications were further improved. At the same time, he also felt that his physical strength had been greatly strengthened. The meridians throughout the body have also been expanded. This made him even more delighted. The strength of the meridians directly determines the strength of a martial artist's martial arts, or the force value. The depth of a martial artist's internal energy determines his ability to fight for a long time, but the strength of his meridians determines his instantaneous explosive power. To describe it in a modern way, a martial artist's martial arts skills can be described as an engine. The depth of the internal force represents the amount of fuel the engine has and determines how long the engine can work. The strength of the meridians determines the output power of this engine. Having more fuel does not mean that the engine's output power is stronger. Although high-power engines have less fuel, they can provide more powerful power in a short period of time. On the contrary, they have stronger power in a short period of time than engines with low power but more fuel. This is the reason why Duan Yu and Xu Zhu later had stronger internal strength than Xiao Feng, but they may not be able to defeat Xiao Feng in actual combat. And now Xiao Feng has used Mana Source Wheat, Millennium Spirit Ginseng, and Purple Yun Ganoderma to increase the strength of his internal energy and meridians. In just one night, Xiao Feng's combat power more than doubled, and earth-shaking changes took place. At this time, he already had the strength to challenge the sweeping monk alone. It won't be long before Xiao Feng can become the ceiling of Tianlong World's combat power, surpassing the current world in terms of skill. At the same time, Bai Yuekui also returned to the base after a day's mission and had time to sort out what he had learned today. She also found that without realizing it, the Myriad World's food stealing system she had just acquired had 3 more friends. She clicked randomly on Tushin Yaya's interface and stole the transformation grass. Ding! The steal was successful and you got the shapeshifting grass 1 plant. The transformation grass mutated when transmigrating latitude and space, and became a dragon-shaped transformation grass. Taking dragon-shaped transformation grass can give you the ability to transform into a dragon. You can transform into a dragon once a day for 1 hour. Within this hour, you will have the power of a dragon and destroy the world. As for how much power you can exert, it depends on your own strength. The minimum you can obtain is no less than 10 times your own ability. Ding! Congratulations on getting a dragon-shaped transformation grass. Ding! Congratulations to your friend Tushin Yaya for getting a dragon-shaped transformation grass at the same time. Bai Yuekui couldn't help but be shocked by this result. I didn't expect that there was such a heaven-defying thing in this world. The mana origin wheat she got from Duyu today seemed to her to be extremely unnatural. Every time Bai Yuekui uses his powerful power, it comes at the cost of consuming his own life essence, and he has to rely on his own life force in exchange for strength. With the mana source wheat, she can use her power without any scruples in the future. She sat there in the cross-legged position while eating steamed mana origin wheat to replenish the vitality she had consumed today. While taking out this dragon-shaped transformation grass, he ate it like a dish. At the same time, she clicked on Xiao Feng's interface and stole a plant called Astragalus membranaceus that was not available in their world. Ding! The steal was successful and you got a 100-year-old Astragalus 1 plant. The century-old Astragalus mutated when it transmigrated time and space and became the Millennium Essence Astragalus. Taking this item can double the total amount of life essence and greatly increase the lifespan of living things. Ding! Congratulations on getting a 1,000-year-old Astragalus root. Ding! Congratulations to your friend Xiao Feng for receiving a 1,000-year-old Astragalus root. This thing is too useful for Bai Yuekui. Doubling the total amount of life essence doesn't mean doubling his lifespan. The most important thing is that the development of her power depends on the source of life. The total amount is doubled. Doesn't this mean that she can have twice the strength as before? Doubling your strength, you still have 1 hour every day to be able to dragon transformation, the ability to instantly increase your strength tenfold. In addition, having mana source wheat can replenish your own consumption. Isn't this equivalent to improving my game level and getting blue medicine? When fighting monsters, while improving your strength, you can also consume drugs to kill the enemy. This made Bai Yuekui Gujing calm, and there was a trace of surprise and emotion on Bai Yuekui's cold and expressionless face. Bai Yuekui couldn't help but whisper to himself, maybe one day, I can rely on this system to change the current ecological environment. It's a pity that there is only one dragon-shaped transformation grass. Otherwise, if we give each of Shadow and the others one, the strength of the combat team will be increased several times. But it doesn't matter. There will be opportunities in the future to steal a few more. Anyway, by stealing, not only will everyone not lose anything, but they will also gain more. This system is really nice. I'm looking forward to it more and more. It's a pity that we have finished stealing everything today. If we want to steal again, we have to wait until tomorrow. Suddenly I feel so excited. I really hope to come as soon as possible tomorrow. It's not just her who is looking forward to coming soon tomorrow, but also the Queen of Immortality and Du Yu. Especially Queen Changsun. She experienced too much magic today and obtained many magical items. After taking these items, her body excreted many impurities, and after taking a shower, she looked at her hands, and she was amazed by the crystal clear skin. She knew that she must have become more beautiful without looking in the mirror. At the same time, her figure also became more beautiful, and her body was full of energy and strength. Most of the ancient nobles had to practice literature and martial arts. Although Empress Changsun prefers to study literature, it does not mean that she does not know martial arts. Of course, there is no question of how powerful her martial arts is. However, in just one night, Queen Changsun felt that her power had increased dramatically. Not only did the internal strength surge, but the physical strength also increased exponentially. This feeling of soaring strength without any effort is so good. She doesn't like to practice martial arts, but she has to do it. Because as a queen, she will inevitably become a weakness that many people want to use to threaten Li Shimin, so the necessary self-protection is very important. At the same time, Li Shimin's strength was greatly improved after taking various heavenly materials and earthly treasures overnight. However, Queen Changsun discovered one thing. The amount of treasures that Li Shimin could take was only half of her own. For example, Queen Changsun could eat 10 kilograms of mana source wheat at one time, but Li Shimin was full after eating 5 kilograms at one time and could not eat any more. This may be because she is the one who obtained the system, and the system once prompted her to improve her physique. Maybe it's for this reason. Hu Weimin returned home with 2 millennium ginseng plants, which were actually century-old ginseng. He was also very excited. These 2 ginseng strains look very different from ordinary ginseng. The body of ginseng is as white as jade, translucent, and smells of a strong medicinal aroma. And after eating it, the effect of the medicine was particularly obvious, which made him suspect that this ginseng had the effect of rejuvenating people. And its medicinal effect is very mild. When his wife saw her wife returning home beaming with joy, she couldn't help but ask, "Lao Hu, what's wrong with you? Why are you so happy?" Hu Weimin said excitedly, "Haha, I bought something good today." After speaking, he opened the 2 wooden boxes in front of his wife like offering treasures. "Look, what are these?" The other party took one look and said, "1,000-year-old ginseng." Then he added, "You shouldn't be so happy, right? 1,000-year-old ginseng has not been purchased before." The other party laughed and said, "It's different this time. If you look closely at this ginseng, it's as crystal clear as jade. You can smell a faint fragrance from afar. The most important thing is that it's amazingly effective. There is no proof for what you say. It just so happens that you and I each take one. Let's try its true medicinal effect today." When Hu Weimin's wife heard this, he said in surprise, "1 ginseng per person? Are you not afraid of eating such a big ginseng to death?" Hu Weimin laughed and said, "You don't understand this. The young man selling this ginseng told me that this ginseng cannot be stored for a long time. It is best to eat 1 ginseng while it is fresh." And Lao Wu also agrees with this view. He has also tried it. The medicinal effect of ginseng is very mild and tonic, and there will be no shortage of nutrients. "I'll eat first, and you can check the situation first." After saying that, Hu Weimin picked up one of the ginsengs. The ginseng had already been washed, so he started eating it directly. As soon as you bite into it, your mouth will feel full of fragrance. The ginseng tastes crunchy and crisp, just like a sweet fruit. After chewing it for 2 times, the ginseng turned into a semi-liquid form, and it went down the throat and was very comfortable. Then a stream of warm currents spread from the intestines and stomach into the limbs. The more you chew the ginseng, the more flavorful it becomes. It tastes very delicious, and the more you eat it, the more addictive it becomes. Although the whole ginseng weighed more than 700 grams, Hu Weimin ate it all in 3 mouthfuls, feeling a little unsatisfied. "I couldn't help but praise. This ginseng is so delicious. Not only does it not have a medicinal smell, it also has a sweet taste, which is a bit like a high-level fruit." Hearing this, Hu Weimin's wife couldn't help but worry and said, "Ginseng has no ginseng flavor, so is this still ginseng? Is it a fake?" Hu Weimin shook his head and said, "It's the real thing." After eating it, I feel warm in my stomach and intestines, and countless energy seems to be dissipating into my body. While he was talking, he saw Hu Weimin's wife covering her mouth in surprise and exclaimed, "Oh my god, how could this happen? Lao Hu, why are you starting to get greasy?" One black spot after another appeared. What's going on? Why does it still smell sour? While his wife was astonished, Hu Weimin jumped up with joy. "Oh my god, this is the legendary purification of menstrual passages and marrow removal. Don't worry, old lady, these greasy black spots are all toxins in my body. This is the medicinal effect of ginseng. It is helping me detoxify. Just wait, I'll take a shower first." After a while, Hu Weimin came back after taking a shower and felt that his whole body was refreshed. He is older, and he used to feel out of breath when he walked too much. He needed to bring a cane when he went out for a long distance. But now, he feels that he is light and healthy, and he walks with great strength. When he took a shower just now, he washed off a lot of greasy and black stuff from his body, only then did he realize that there were so many toxins in his body. It's no wonder that as a person gets older, there must be a lot of stasis in the body. After all of it is discharged, he feels a sense of relief all over his body. At this time, his wife's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh my god. Old Hu, is this you? Oh my god, why are all your white hair gone? My hair has become darker, shiny and shiny. Even the wrinkles on my face are reduced a lot. The skin is not as dry and dull as before. It seems to have become more vital and has a faint sheen. Oh my god, is this ginseng so powerful? Is this still medicine? This is simply the legendary spirit medicine." Hu Weimin laughed, stretched his body and said, "Old lady, I feel very relaxed now. How should I put it? I feel like I am 10 years younger again. Don't hesitate, eat this ginseng quickly. I feel like after eating this ginseng, I will live at least 10 more years in my life." After hearing this, Hu Weimin's wife no longer had any doubts, picked up another ginseng and put it into her mouth. Then he said in surprise, "This ginseng is so delicious. It's crunchy, sweet, and has a very special taste." Immediately afterwards, she felt the changes in her body. It seemed that every cell in her body became warm and very comfortable. Not long after finishing one ginseng, she saw a layer of oil began to appear on her hands, with black spots floating on the oil. These oily and dark spots also smell sour. This was unbearable for her and she quickly went to the bathroom. After a long time, Hu Weimin's wife did not come back, and Hu Weimin was not in a hurry. He knew that women take a bath more slowly, and his wife usually didn't take a bath quickly. Sure enough, after more than half an hour, the other party came back, changed into clean clothes and dressed up. The other party walked over with a strong posture and said with a smile, "Old Hu, where did you buy this ginseng? It's really amazing. You see my hair has turned completely black too. And it's shiny and not dry at all." She stretched out her hand and said, "Look at my skin. It has become whiter, more shiny and much more delicate. This is much better than using those high-end cosmetics. I looked in the mirror just now and the wrinkles on my face were reduced a lot. I looked like I was 10 years younger. Oh my gosh, this works so well. Do you still have this ginseng? Buy some more." Hu Weimin laughed and said, "Do you think this kind of ginseng is only available on the street and you can buy it if you want? I met him today. There happened to be a young man who went to Lao Wu's shop to sell this kind of ginseng. It is said that he just dug it up. This kind of ginseng is different from ordinary ginseng. It is called spiritual ginseng and has extraordinary effects. Just these 2 ginsengs cost me 610 million. When Hu Weimin's wife heard this, she said nonchalantly, "It's only 610 million. It's worth it. It's worth it. Does the other party still have this kind of ginseng? Buy some more. Our son is tired from working all day, so he should make up for it." Hu Weimin nodded and said, "He is really tired from work. But fortunately, he is still young, so there is no rush. This kind of ginseng is rare but hard to come by. I have left my contact information with the young man. If there is such ginseng in the future, he will contact me." Hu Weimin's wife nodded and said, "That's good. By the way, who is the other party? This is the first time I have encountered such a magical ginseng." Hu Weimin replied, "We have already checked and the other party is a fruit farmer in Dujia town. When Hu Weimin's wife heard this, she was a little moved. Dujia town, it's not far away. How about we go there for a walk when we have time? I just feel like my body has gotten better, and I want to go out and move around. When Hu Weimin heard this, he smiled and said, that's okay. While the two were talking, the door of the villa opened, and a middle-aged man came in, followed by a secretary. The other party greeted the two elderly people from a distance, Dad, Mom. After coming to the sofa and sitting down, the other party just sat down and wanted to get a cigarette. But at this moment, he suddenly froze on the spot as if a mobilization technique had been cast on him. Then he looked at his parents with wide eyes, an incredulous expression, and looked at them again and again. Then he confirmed that the two people in front of him were indeed his parents, but what surprised him was why the two old people seemed to be 10 years younger. The gray hair on his head became jet black and shiny, and even the wrinkles on his face were reduced a lot. He didn't notice when he came in just now. He was about to smoke after sitting down, but he suddenly raised his head and realized it. This surprised him and made him speak louder. Dad, Mom, what's wrong with you? But I saw Hu Weimin and his wife laughing. Is my son surprised? Did he find that we have become younger? Haha, we were surprised ourselves. So Hu Weimin explained today's events in detail. After finishing speaking, the middle-aged man was even more incredible. Is there such a magical ginseng in the world? Never heard of it before. Dujia town, it seems that I will have to go to Dujia town for inspection when I have time in the future. Unconsciously, he practiced all night. Du opened his eyes again and looked around. Although the sky was still a little dark, everything around him had changed in his eyes. It becomes more vivid and the color levels are richer. It also became clearer, and he could even clearly see a mosquito flapping its wings 100 meters away. At the same time, with every breath he took, he could feel that he was drawing strength from the surrounding air. Although it was only a faint trace, it was actually there. He can also feel the flow of power in his body. With just one thought, he can mobilize the energy of his whole body. He lightly swung his fist, and the wind hit a porcelain bowl 3 meters away. He knocked it off the table and shattered it into pieces. Such invisible fist wind is enough to hurt someone. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe. Chapter 31. Du knew that in just one night, he was completely different from a normal person. He didn't know if there was anyone in the world who had the same superpowers as him and could practice it. Because he has not been exposed to this world before. After eating so many good things, more impurities were excreted from the body, leaving me with a sour smell all night. Du quickly brought 2 buckets of well water. It was really comfortable to bathe in the cold well water in summer. After washing, I put on clean and comfortable clothes. The big rooster outside had already begun to crow. Then he exercised as usual, running around the mountain. When he came back an hour later, he frowned slightly. Usually after running for an hour, he would already be sweating, but now he was running faster. He ran 4 times around the mountain in an hour, but not to mention sweating, he didn't even take a breath. If he hadn't run as fast as he could for a kilometer on the mountain when no one was around, and only took a few breaths, otherwise he wouldn't have felt anything at all. This means that as your physical fitness improves, ordinary exercise methods are no longer suitable for you, and there is no point in continuing to exercise. Maybe it's time for me to find a way to practice martial arts, something like martial arts. It's a pity that in modern society, where can we find martial arts techniques similar to those in martial arts novels? No, isn't there a ready-made one now? Chao Feng. The opponent is an ancient hero, and a top master in martial arts novels. I can't say that the martial arts practiced by the other party are at apex level, but at least they are top-notch secrets. Unfortunately, the system cannot deliver items. But this is not difficult for Du. There is a saying, if your thoughts are not slippery, there are always more methods than difficulties. There is no way to get the other party to pass on the martial arts secrets. Then just ask Chao Feng to take photos of martial arts secrets and send them over. Although you can only post a maximum of 9 photos per day, but over time, you still can't copy a secret book in 2 or 3 weeks. Thinking of this, he opened Chao Feng's interface and saw many herbs in Chao Feng's medicinal garden. He had already stolen Ganoderma lucidum yesterday, but today he changed to a different plant and clicked to steal it. Ding! the steal was successful and you got grass coral 1. When the Chinese medicinal herb coral crossed time and space, it was affected by the power of time and became a 1,000-year-old grass coral. In the process, many plants differentiated, and 3 grass corals that were over 800 years old were reproduced. There are 9 corals and 31 grass corals that are over 100 years old. Herb coral has a miraculous effect in curing rheumatism for more than 100 years. For more than 500 years, grass coral has the ability to reconnect broken bones. For more than 800 years, grass coral has the power to regenerate bone marrow, set bones and create blood, and can cure leukemia. Millennium grass coral has the power to regenerate bone marrow, set bones and create blood. It can cure leukemia. After use, it can increase the number of cell divisions by 3 times. Ding! Congratulations on getting 1,000-year-old grass coral, 3 more than 800-year-old grass corals, 9 more than 500-year-old grass corals, and 3,100-year-old grass corals. Ding! Congratulations to your friend Xiao Feng for simultaneously obtaining 1,000-year-old grass coral, 3 more than 800-year-old grass corals, 9 more than 500-year-old grass corals, and 3,100-year-old grass corals. All the stolen stuff is really good. As do you knows, the grass coral is a kind of Chinese herbal medicine, an evergreen semi-tree, with a height of generally 60 to 120 centimeters. The whole plant or roots can be used as medicine. Its main functions are to dispel wind and activate blood circulation, clear away heat and detoxify. Mainly used to treat rheumatic arthralgia and bruises. And because it can produce red fruits and is very ornamental, some people also grow it as an ornamental plant. And the grass corals he got now are incredible. The century-old grass coral has reached a height of 1.5 meters and has miraculous effects in treating rheumatism. As we all know, rheumatism is a stubborn disease, which is the disease that the elderly are most afraid of. Basically, it can only be relieved, but there is no possibility of cure. But if he uses the 100-year-old grass coral he obtained as medicine, 3 plasters can completely cure rheumatism. Needless to say, this value. The 500-year-old grass coral is 2.5 meters tall, and its medicinal effect is even more incredible. It can even repair broken bones. According to the detailed introduction, even if parts of bones are missing, they can be regenerated. The effect is incredible. The 800-year-old grass coral is even more incredible. It can actually restore bone marrow and regenerate hematopoietic cells. Because of this ability, it can cure leukemia. This value is terrifying. The 800-year-old grass coral tree is 3.5 meters tall. I don't know how many medicines this tree can cure. I dare not say if there are more than one, it can still treat thousands of people. The treatment fee for this person is 1 million, and it is estimated that countless people around the world are rushing to get it. It's probably not a problem for a tree to sell for more than 1 billion in the end. 1,000-year-old grass coral can be called the transcendent level, and the tree is 5 meters high. And its medicinal effect has been mainly concentrated on the grown fruits. The red fruits are as bright as red crystal gems. Each kilogram consumed can increase the number of biological cell divisions by 3 times. The F-King effect is just crazy. Because it can make any living thing immortal. The reason why all life cannot achieve immortality is because cells cannot regenerate indefinitely. Theoretically, cells can divide indefinitely and regenerate indefinitely. But when the cells of any living thing divide for a certain number of times, it is unknown why they will stop dividing. And every biological cell has an upper limit to the number of cell divisions it can divide. For example, human cells can divide approximately 50 times, and the average division cycle is 2.4 years. After dividing for a certain number of times, the cell will be in a quiescent state and stop dividing. This number of times to stop dividing is called the Hayflick limit. The more times an organism's cells divide, the longer its theoretical lifespan is, and vice versa. For example, sea turtles can divide their cells up to 125 times, so the average lifespan of an adult sea turtle can reach 175 years. Increasing the number of divisions of a biological cell is equivalent to increasing the upper limit of its lifespan. If a creature could divide cells throughout its body without limit, it could achieve immortality. Therefore, if the purpose of this 1,000-year-old grass coral were known, it would make people all over the world crazy about it. Let's put it this way, you can sell 1 kilogram of the fruit it grows for 1 billion, and rich people all over the world are rushing to buy it. Of course, such a heaven-defying fruit does not grow casually. Normal grass corals grow fruits in bunches. As for the millennium grass coral, only one fruit can grow in one location. Although this 1,000-year-old grass has a coral height of more than 5 meters, the fruit it can grow in a year is only about 4 kilograms. So it is quite precious. After being surprised, Du Yu left a message to Xiaofeng, and he noticed that Xiaofeng's name tag had completely changed into Xiaofeng, without one Xiaofeng. This allowed Du Yu to accurately judge the time period Xiaofeng was in now. The last time I contacted him was before the Xingzilin incident yesterday, and today the Xingzilin beggar clan conference incident ended. So he left a message to Xiaofeng. Brother Xiaofeng, is the Xingzilin beggar clan meeting over? You already understand your life experience, right? It was Morong Bo, the head of the Morong family, who single-handedly planned the incident in Rock Valley, with the purpose of provoking a war between Liao and Song. Because the Morong family of Gusu is a descendant of the royal family of the Yan kingdom in the northern dynasty. They wanted to restore the country. He would only have a chance if there was a war between Song and Liao. Gusu Morong has been networking with Zhonghu forces, intending to stir up disputes among various countries. What he is doing is his family's dream of rejuvenating the country. After this incident, the then head of the family, Morong Bo, has been hiding in the Shaolin Sutra Pavilion. And the strongest master in Shaolin Temple is an old sweeping monk from Sutra Pavilion. This old has always known Morong Bo's purpose, but he is deliberately conniving at it. You have to be careful. The Buddhist gate technique he practices is very evil. When there is a flaw in a person's mind, he can forcibly transform a person into a Buddhist gate protector. He knows that Morong Bo and your father have been hiding in the Sutra Pavilion without being exposed. He is just waiting to transfer them into the Buddhist gate one day to increase the strength of the Buddhist gate. In addition, your adoptive parents Chao Sanwai and his wife and master Xuanku were killed by your father Xiao Yuanshan. Finally, brother Xiaofeng, I urgently need a martial arts secret book. I hope you can find me a high-quality martial arts secret book in your world. As a peerless master, Xiaofeng has always had the habit of going to bed early and getting up early, and he has to get up every day to do morning exercises. This is what is called dancing after hearing the chicken. Du Yu stole the grass coral and left a message, and he knew it immediately. So he was also shocked by the usefulness of these grass corals. At the same time, Du Yu's rumors also made him understand a lot of doubts in his heart, but at the same time, they made him have more doubts. For example, the Sutra Pavilion mentioned by Du Yu has an old sweeping monk who is the strongest master in Shaolin Temple. Oh my god, does Shaolin Temple itself know this secret? Maybe I really don't know. Otherwise, no matter how hard it is, we cannot let such a master become an ordinary sweeping monk. You must know that Buddhist gate is the most hierarchical place in the world. Different Buddhist gate monks are different from what they wear to what they do. Modern society pays attention to the equality of everyone, so the hierarchy of monks in modern society is not as strict as before. But in ancient times, there was a hierarchy as strict as officials. The clothes worn are divided into gray, brown and yellow, which represent the upper, middle and lower 3 grades. Yellow is the most precious. Especially bright yellow. You must know that bright yellow was the color worn by emperors in ancient times. If a monk wears it on his body, you will know what level of eminent monk he is. The clothes of each first grade are divided into 3 grades, which can be seen from the length of the clothes. They are divided into short coats, half lengths, and robes. The higher the grade, the longer. The top of the short coat went from the waist to the hips, and was about the same length as today's tops. The length of the half-length robe exceeds the knee. The long hanging is the robe, all the way to the feet. Changhua is also called Haiqing, which means that Buddhism is like the sea, and blue is better than blue. However, in modern society, a kind of cyan robe has appeared among monks' robes, and that kind of robe is called Haiqing. The same is true for cassocks, with red being the most precious. Low-grade cassock is made of strips of cloth stitched together. Each strip of cloth is cut into 2 long and 1 short. The 2 strips of cloth are connected in the order of 1 short and 1 long, and are butt stitched with yellow or gold lines. The more cloth strips used in the cassock, the more noble it will be. Low-grade cassocks are divided into 9-piece robes, 11-piece robes and 13-piece robes. Each strip of cloth used in the middle-grade cassock is cut into 3 long and 1 short. The more strips, the more noble it is. It is divided into 15 strips, 17 strips and 19 strips. Each strip of cloth used in high-grade cassock is cut into 4 long and 1 short. The more strips, the more distinguished it is. It is divided into 21 strips, 23 strips and 25 strips. Through cassocks, monks are divided into 9 levels. In addition, there are 2 types of cassocks, brown and red. Monks in brown robes and yellow cassocks are eligible to wear cassocks. With this combination, the monks' grades are actually divided into more than 30 levels. To use an analogy, monks' robes and cassocks are like seniority cards and military ranks. Coupled with the monk's position in the monastery, everyone can know their status in the system at a glance. It can be imagined that this hierarchy is strict and strict. How strict it is. Finally, there was another kind of cassock in ancient times. When those eminent monks reached a certain status, they could be embellished with 7 treasures. This is called the Jinlan cassock, and Chang monk wore it back then. This is not something that ordinary people can wear. Only those who are considered to be able to claim ancestral status and be like the reincarnated Buddha are qualified. So if the old monk who sweeps the floor is really the number 1 master of Buddhist gate in Shaolin Temple, he has a very high seniority. Why is it impossible for him to become a sweeping monk in gray clothes? That means the other party is deliberately hiding his identity. Because the ancient dress system can be backward compatible, but it cannot be transcended upward. The emperor goes on patrol incognito, and wearing civilian clothes does not break the law. Senior officials wearing civilian clothes are called close to the people, but ordinary people wearing official clothes are breaking the law. If it is light, they may be beaten or beheaded. The same goes for Buddhist gate. A high-level monk wears ordinary monk clothes and calls all living beings equal. A young novice wears abbot's clothes and no one will care if he beats you to death. Xiao Feng thought to himself, no wonder this little brother named Du Yu said that the other party is an old cunt. It's true, this sweeping monk is definitely an extremely dark person. He is obviously very senior in Shaolin and can be said to be the number 1 person in the Buddhist gate, but he disguises himself as a monk in gray. How insidious. And Du Yu also pointed out the other party's purpose, deliberately letting Marongbo and my father Xiao Yuanshan learn martial arts in Sutra Pavilion. It is just to save them one day and make them become Buddhist gate protectors. The intention is very insidious. If I meet this old cunt in the future, I must be careful. Another thing that puzzles Xiao Feng is why his father Xiao Yuanshan killed Chao Sanwai and his wife, and his mentor Master Shuenku. At the same time, he also knew the purpose of the Morong family. It turned out that everything was to network with Zhonghu masters and cause disputes between Song and Liao dynasties, so that he could take advantage of the chaos and achieve his dream of restoring the country. Just because of this, he ambushed his family in Rock Valley. At the end of the message, Du Yu asked him for a martial arts secret book. He also sent 5 pictures and taught him step by step how to take photos and send him martial arts secrets. This function also makes Xiao Feng feel very interesting. Photos can faithfully record images, and the portraits captured are as detailed as if they were carved from the same mold. This made Xiao Feng extremely amazed. It was indeed the method of the immortal family, it was really miraculous. As for the martial arts secrets that the other party wants, I have them with me. And he has apex-level martial arts secrets. Xiao Feng's internal skills are learned from Shaolin's authentic internal skills. Later, when he went to Shaolin Sutra Pavilion to study Buddhism under the leadership of his mentor, Master Shuenku, when he was a young boy, Xiao Feng found a few pages in the Lankavatara Sutra, which described an inner skill and mental method left by Patriarch Bodhidharma. 9 Sun Magic Power. Later, it was this apex-level technique that he continued to practice. As for his martial arts moves, he learned from Shaolin in the early stage, where he learned several unique skills such as Dragon Capturing Hand. Later, he learned the 2 most profound martial arts of the beggar clan from Wang Jiantong, the 18 dragon subduing palms and the dog fighting stick technique. Xiao Feng treats his friends with sincerity. Since Du Yu is his recognized friend, Xiao Feng will naturally give the best to him. It's just that his inner strength, mental skills and martial arts are all secrets that are not passed down by various sects. But regarding this point, Xiaofeng is not pedantic. If Du Yu was from his world, Xiaofeng might have to take it into account. After all, he couldn't betray his master. But Du Yu is a person from another world, time and space. If he passes these martial arts to Du Yu, there is no such thing as betraying the master. It does not count as betraying the master. Because in his world, Xiaofeng didn't let people who shouldn't learn these martial arts learn them. As for people from other worlds learning it, it can still be regarded as carrying forward the martial arts of the beggar clan and Shaolin. Thinking of this, he decided to pass on all the apex-level internal skills, mental skills and martial arts he knew to Du Yu. For no reason, Xiaofeng was very grateful to the other party for being so considerate to him and telling him so many truths that he didn't understand. So Xiaofeng clicked to steal Du Yu's watermelon. Ding! Steal successfully and get watermelon. 5. The watermelon mutated when transmigrating time and space and turned into an energy-restoring watermelon. Energy recovery watermelon. 1 kilogram of it can instantly restore physical strength, energy, internal strength, mana, etc., allowing the user to maintain the fullest mental state. Ding! Congratulations on getting 5 energy-restoring watermelons. Ding! Congratulations to your friends for getting 5 energy-restoring watermelons at the same time. This thing is so practical. Xiaofeng was also very surprised. No matter how high his martial arts skills are and how deep his internal strength is, he is still a human being. When facing thousands of troops, his physical strength will sometimes be exhausted and his internal strength will also be used up. But with this thing, there will be no worries in the future. My physical strength is gone and my internal strength is gone. I can make up for it by eating 2 pieces of watermelon. The most important thing is that this watermelon is very big. 1 watermelon may weigh 40 or 50 pounds. These 5 watermelons can restore yourself to your strongest state at least 200 times. This made Du Yu very surprised after receiving the message. Xiaofeng was already strong enough, and now he can take drugs. Who can beat him in the Tianlong world from now on? Then he saw the message left by Xiaofeng. Thanks for the reminder, little brother. Xiao is very grateful, but there is something I don't understand. Why did my father Xiao Yuanshan kill my adoptive parents Chao Sanwai and his wife and my mentor master Xuanku? As far as I know, they haven't been killed yet. Is it too late for me to save them now? Xiao gave me the secret book that my little brother wanted as a token of his gratitude. The top one in the photo is 9 Yang Magic, and the bottom one is 18 Dragon Subduing Palms. I hope it can be helpful to my little brother. Xiaofeng would like to thank you. Du Yu opened the 9 photos and looked at them, FK. They all cried out in surprise. It turned out that Xiaofeng put 2 martial arts secret books together and took a photo. After all, the photos taken are rectangular. Putting the 2 secret books together will just cover the photos. In this way, every bit of space can be effectively used. This actually made Du Yu a little overjoyed. He thought that every photo taken could only be a martial arts secret book. Unexpectedly, Xiaofeng is really a genius, creatively using the camera function. This shows that Xiaofeng is indeed a man of great wisdom and roughness. At the same time, he had nothing to say about the good friends he considered to be good friends. In this way, Du Yu can save half of the time to obtain martial arts secrets. As for the 9 photos, all the 9th layer techniques before 9 Sun Magic were taken, and 18 Dragon Subduing Palms also sent 9 techniques. Du Yu was overjoyed, but he didn't expect it to be 2 kinds of Kung Fu, an apex-level internal skill and mental method, and an apex-level martial arts secret book. Without saying a word, he immediately began to practice cross-legged. Perhaps because he ate too many good things, Du Yu's meridians have been widened more than 10 times, and the Ren and Du meridians have naturally opened up. At the same time, the energy accumulated in Du Yu's body was like that of a master with hundreds of years of skill. It's just that there was no suitable inner strength and mental method to operate before. Now that there is 9 Suns Magic, it is equivalent to a sports car having a highway. Soon, the huge energy in his body began to circulate continuously according to the internal power and mental method of Juyang divine skill, and the process was easy. The 9 Yang divine art was constantly being broken through layer by layer. In less than an hour, Du Yu was able to defeat the 9th layer with the 9 Yang magic skill. If Xiaofeng knew this, the other party would probably be shocked. It took me more than 10 years of practicing Juyong magic to reach the 9th layer. Unexpectedly, Du Yu reached the same level as himself in just half an hour. This kind of martial arts talent can really amaze anyone. But how did Xiao Feng know that it wasn't that Du Yu's own martial arts talent was too high, but that the system gave him too much? If you eat so many good things, even a pig can become a peerless master. Moreover, Du Yu already has hundreds of years of skill in his body, and he has no shortage of internal energy. He just needs to follow the operation method of Nine Yang Divine Art, and turn the internal energy into the true Qi attribute of Nine Yang Divine Art. With the support of huge internal strength, Du Yu made extraordinary progress in practicing 18 dragon subduing palms. In addition to what he ate, the time crystal pear also had a refreshing effect, which increased his understanding. This plumpness adds a buff to him, and he can practice martial arts with twice the result with half the effort. Of course, martial arts moves and techniques are different. Learning them does not mean you have high proficiency. They also need to be practiced repeatedly. In this way, Du Yu mastered the first 3 moves of 18 dragon subduing palms in one morning. At this time, Du Yu's ears moved slightly and he heard some noises. Someone came to his orchard. Eating so much good food and practicing martial arts have already made him smart. Those people were still at the foot of the mountain, a few hundred meters away from his orchard, when he heard footsteps. Through the footsteps, he also heard that one of them was the village chief. Du Yu stopped practicing, and sure enough, a few minutes later a group of people appeared outside his house. As Du Yu here, second master, the courtyard door is unlocked, just come in. The firewood gate of the courtyard was pushed open, and the village chief walked in with a few people. 2 of them are still the same people who are coming to buy orchards in the past few days, but today they are accompanied by 5 more people. Each one of them is a powerful man, and each one of them shows his flower blue unicorn arms, showing that he is a member of the society and is not easy to mess with. One of them looked like a boss, wearing a big gold chain around his thick neck. The other party walked up to Du Yu first, looked him up and down, and then said, "Your boy is Du Yu. My name is Wang Delong, I believe you have heard of me. Brother, please give me some respect and sell this orchard." Du Yu snorted softly. Maybe before yesterday, he might have been a little scared if he encountered this kind of situation. But now, haha, no, Du Yu refused decisively. Because his system was activated because of this orchard, although the system is now bound. There is also an orchard in the system space. But Du Yu is not sure now whether his future system upgrade will have anything to do with the real orchard. So before this issue is determined, he will not sell this orchard at all. When the other party heard this, he raised his eyebrows, stared and said, "Oh, you don't give me face." Next to him, 2 men in suits came over to people who came to him to buy orchards in the past few days and said, "Little brother, we will add another 1 million to this orchard. You can take it as soon as you like. To be honest, your orchard isn't even worth $500,000. Now that our price has been increased to 5 million for you, you should be satisfied." Du Yu also snorted and said, "Since you think my orchard is not worth even 500,000 yuan, then why do you still spend 5 million to buy it? This orchard is a legacy left to me by my grandfather, so you can go back. It's not about money. I won't sell it for any amount of money." The guy with the big gold chain snorted and said, "Brothers, there is no need to be polite to him. Boy, to tell you the truth, young master son of the orchard has taken a liking to you. Sell it or not, give me a happy word." Du Yu frowned slightly when he heard this and asked, "Master son, which master son?" The other party snorted coldly and said, "Who else is Mr. Sun in this county? Of course he is the eldest son of the county prince's family. If he likes your land and spends 5 million to buy it, you are lucky. I, Wang Delong, am here today. You have to sell it whether you want to sell it or not." Du Yu chuckled when he heard this and sneered, "Why, you still want to buy and sell by force? The more this happens, the less I will sell it. Young master son, I've never heard of it." The opponent turned his thick neck and cracked his fist loudly. "Brother, it seems you don't know how powerful I, Wang Delong, am. You don't even have to go to the county to find out who I am. I'm talking to you in a nice voice. Don't give me a toast and you'll be punished with a drink. Just sign the contract obediently and nothing will happen. Otherwise, Don't blame me for being rude. The village chief also quickly advised from the side. Do you kid, stop being so stubborn. Yu Dao is a good man who doesn't suffer the immediate consequences. We can't afford to offend the eldest son of the county magistrate's family. As the ancients said, we ordinary people cannot afford to offend the magistrate who destroys his family and the prefect who destroys his family. This Wang Dalong is a well-known black boss in the county, and he has brothers number 100. They are all ruthless people. I heard that they have killed people. We are serious farmers, there is no need to fight against them with eggs and stones. Listen to the second master, 5 million is indeed a lot. With this money, you can go to other places. You can buy 10 orchards like this. If you are not satisfied with the price, second master will help you make more arrangements. I think they really want this orchard. As long as you are willing to sell it, they can probably negotiate a higher price. Everyone in this village is more or less related. According to the seniority of the village chief, Duyu is called the second uncle. Second uncle, please don't get involved in this matter. The more these people act like this, the more confused I become. I spent 5 million to buy an orchard like this. Logically speaking, it's not worth it at all. They are county magistrates and members of the underworld, and they don't seem to be philanthropists. Why do they give me money for nothing? So now I'm very curious, what makes them willing to spend 5 million to buy this dilapidated orchard of mine? When the village chief heard this, he stamped his feet and said, "Why are you so naughty, kid? I've been so stubborn since I was a kid. Why did they buy this orchard? What does it have to do with us? Curiosity can be eaten. We can't afford to offend these people. Didn't you see that they came with bad intentions? This is really going to knock you out. Don't you have to sign the contract obediently in the end? It's not worth the physical pain you'll have to endure." Wang Dalong shook his big head impatiently and shouted, "What's wrong? Have you figured it out? Will you give me Wang Dalong the face?" Seeing the other party's attitude, Duyu couldn't bear it anymore and scolded directly, "Who do you think you are? Why should I give you face? What kind of face do you have as a gangster? You have long been a shameless piece of shit. I really thought that with a bunch of tattoos on my body, a big gold chain, and shouting about myself all day long, I would be a special figure. Do you know that when people around you look at you people, they are looking? You open your mouth like a kid, but you f-king can't speak. If you can't speak, go back to your mother's womb and practice for a few more years. With a thing like you, why doesn't your dad shoot you against the wall? It's shameless and it's not your fault to embarrass our ancestors. But it's your fault to go around in circles and make yourself look embarrassed. Being in the underworld has given you a sense of superiority, and you still think it's glorious. Why, you are Wei Xiaobao." Wang Dalong was stunned by these words and asked the two lawyers in suits next to him. He said, "I am Wei Xiaobao. What does this mean? I know Wei Xiaobao. He has 7 wives. Is he praising me?" The corner of the lawyer's mouth twitched, and then he said, "No, Wei Xiaobao is AF King Brothel bitch. He was just calling you a son of a bitch." Hearing this, Wang Dalong suddenly became angry. "You are the son of a bitch. Brothers, fight me. Sao Ni Ma, beat this kid until he can't take care of himself." However, as soon as he finished speaking, he screamed, his whole body arched up, and he flew out. He flew 5 or 6 meters away before falling to the ground. Kneeling there with his stomach in his hands, he felt that his intestines were about to break, and he was rolling on the ground in pain. Then he heard screams one after another, and when he opened his eyes to look over, he found that several of his men had fallen to the ground. Then a huge shoe print instantly enlarged in his eyes, and a foot stepped on his face. "Why, are you used to being domineering? It doesn't feel good to have your face stepped on by someone's feet. Just now you said you were going to beat me until I can't take care of myself. HMPH, I'm afraid you don't have this ability yet. Now Duyu has just practiced peerless martial arts, which is when his confidence is inflated. He thinks that his current martial arts skills are probably just a little worse than Xiao Fang's. If he doesn't use modern weapons, he won't even look down upon hundreds of ruffians like this. In addition, he also has an apple that restores blood and a watermelon that restores energy. Even if thousands of local ruffians come, he is confident that he will fight a protracted war with the opponent and wear him out. Moreover, Do you didn't have any good impressions of this kind of underworld that bullied men and dominated women. He would step on the opponent's face and crush him back and forth. I couldn't get it through normal buying and selling, but now I'm starting to buy and sell by force. I wonder what secrets my orchard has that deserves your attention. But go back and tell your Mr. Sun, let alone 5 million. Even if he gives me 50 billion, I won't sell it. Let him give up on me. This Wang Delong is also a ruthless person. He was trampled under his feet, but he still screamed ferociously, "Boy, if you can, beat me to death. If you don't beat me to death, I will beat you to death sooner or later. Kill me to death if you can. Do you dare?" Gangsters like Wang Delong fight with ruthlessness. It's not like they haven't encountered anyone who can fight on this road. But people like that are either conquered by them, or they end up with their families and families destroyed. It's because although those people can fight, they don't have the strength to do so. There is a saying in modern society, if you lose, you will be hospitalized, but if you win, you will go to jail. Therefore, a normal person, even if he is a martial artist, would keep a certain amount of strength in his hands when fighting, and would not dare to seriously injure someone and be hospitalized. Wang Delong understands this very well. He had met a trainer before and started beating himself up. But the other party only dares to hurt themselves, not to injure themselves. Soon he led a group of people to beat the opponent and broke his hands and feet. He also raped the other party's wife and daughter in front of the other party. So when facing someone like Du Yu, he was not afraid at all. He knew that the other person was just an ordinary citizen and he didn't dare to do anything to him. What he was afraid of was powerful people like Mr. Sun. Although Mr. Sun is looking for the young lady all day long and is weak at his feet, he is much more dangerous than those who practice martial arts. Because the other party really dares to kill people, and he can also find many people to help him kill people. Therefore, his face was stepped on by Du Yu, which made him, a gangster, feel particularly shameless and naturally refused to admit defeat. He also thought that Du Yu didn't dare to do anything to him, so he became even more emboldened, shouting and cursing loudly, "Boy, if you have the ability to beat me to death and maim me, I will count on you. I'm afraid you don't have the guts. Come here if you can and hit me. If you don't kill me today, I will kill your whole family." Du Yu also sneered when he heard this and said, "Really? Then I have to kill you." After saying that, he kicked him several times. "Get out of here." The other party got up and said with a wry smile, "Boy, you have no guts. Ha ha ha, what a coward. Just wait. One day, I will let you lie down in front of me. I will break all the bones in your body and make you regret what happened today." Du Yu didn't feel angry when he looked at the other party, because he didn't need to be like a dead person. He hasn't paid attention to a few local ruffians and gangsters yet. He didn't take the opponent's threat seriously, because he had already left dark energy in the opponent's body. The opponent now looks like he has a bruised nose and a swollen face at best, but in fact it doesn't look like the injury is serious, just a skin injury. Even the injuries on the other party's body would be swollen within an hour or two. Even if they went to the hospital for a checkup, nothing could be found wrong. But the dark energy lurking in their bodies would break out from time to time, making them unable to do much in the past few days. And after 10 days, these hidden injuries will explode, and they will all die suddenly. The reason for doing this was that Du Yu felt troubled by Mr. Sun behind them. After all, this is a modern society. No matter how advanced your martial arts skills are, you are still afraid of kitchen knives. Even if you are not afraid of kitchen knives, you still have machine guns. If you're not afraid of machine guns, what about aircraft cannons? Du Yu has not yet admitted that his martial arts skills are not high enough to be like Superman, and he is not afraid of aircraft, cannons, or missiles. The young master son standing behind him was the son of the county magistrate. This status was what Du Yu was most concerned about. In a sense, the other party represents the dictatorship of the ruling class. Believe it or not, if I really injure Wang Delong and his gang now, soon the police cars will be here, even with guns. If you follow them obediently and you end up in jail, you are not just at their mercy. But if you dare to resist, the other party may be eager to kill you on the spot in the name of attacking the police and resisting the law. Even if he could handle an ordinary pistol, if he really beat a law enforcement officer, it would be a crime no matter what the reason. If you dare to defy the country's law enforcement agencies, the army will be dispatched to put you under dictatorship in a matter of minutes. So, my lord, times have changed. Even if martial arts masters are no longer popular, they still have to abide by the rules and laws. But the problem is that in some places, as Chen Qingchuan said in the Name of the People, the power to interpret legal provisions is in the hands of corrupt elements like him. Unfortunately, this is obviously the case for Mr. Sun's family. Watching these people go away, do you also frown? The behavior of these people on the other side is very unreasonable. He was actually willing to spend 5 million to buy his own orchard, which wasn't even worth $500,000. In the end, even the underworld was mobilized to get their own orchard through plunder and robbery. Why is this? Could it be that they are here for the system? Do they know that by acquiring this orchard, they will acquire the system? This made Do You frown and ask the system, "System, are you exposed?" The system replied, "Impossible. Only those invited by this system know the existence of this system. And only one person from each world is invited to join this system. In other words, you are the only one in your world. As long as you don't tell anyone, no one will know." This made Do You feel even more confused. Since the other party cannot know the system, what is the purpose of the other party to get the orchard? This is really weird. Du Yu was puzzled. Ding, Queen Changsun stole your mango 10. While the mango traveled across time and space and was bathed in thousands of years of sunlight, it mutated and became the Golden Sun Mango. Golden Sun Mango contains pure power of the sun and power of fire. Eating this mango can increase the strength of the user's soul and speed up the practice of solar and fire attributes, spells, and martial Dao. At the same time, the user can bring their own. The golden light increases the temperament and has a strong restraint effect on ghosts and monsters. Ding, your friend Queen Changsun got the Golden Sun Mango 10 pieces. Ding, congratulations on getting the Golden Sun Mango 10 pieces at the same time. The system prompt pulled Du Yu back from his thoughts, and then looked at the system. Queen Changsun also left a message. Thank you for the reminder, but I still have some doubts about some things. Please enlighten me. Why didn't our eldest son inherit the throne, but our fourth son did? Is it because we didn't educate him well since he was a child? How did he almost lose the Tang dynasty? How to make up for it? Seeing this information, Du Yu also smiled. Click on the system interface and start selecting the target to steal. Queen Changsun grows many things in her fields, of course most of them are grains and vegetables. However, there are a lot of medicinal materials grown on the 2 acres of land. But what made Du Yu feel strange was that there was still a piece of grass growing. Is it a weed? But when Du Yu looked carefully at the shape of the weeds, he found that the shape was indeed very special. He had never seen it before. Of course, the world is full of wonders, and Du Yu is not a botanist. There are many plants that he has never seen before. There are more than 100,000 plant species in the world, and even botanists may not be able to recognize them all. When I pointed the arrow at the weeds, a surprising scene happened. What the other party displayed turned out to be Ganoderma lucidum grass. This shocked Du Yu. Ganoderma lucidum, isn't this the legendary fairy grass? Why is there such a thing in Queen Changsun's field? Is this something that should be on Blue Star? I have never heard of such a thing in any news. Take a closer look at the profile displayed. Lingzi grass is an annual herb native to the Xia Kingdom. It is a strange plant that only grows next to Ganoderma lucidum. It is a valuable Chinese herbal medicine with unique medicinal effects. The growth conditions are harsh, so the number is very small and it became extinct in 1406 AD. Quote, "Oh my God, it's actually an extinct species on Blue Star. My dear, if this is stolen, what will happen?" Without further ado, click to steal. Ding, steal successfully and get Ganoderma lucidum grass too. Ganoderma lucidum mutated over time and became a rare spirit medicine, a 1,400-year-old Ganoderma lucidum. And during this process, Ganoderma lucidum grass continues to reproduce. The vast majority of Ganoderma lucidum grass does not break through the life limit, but a very small part of the Ganoderma lucidum grass mutates due to the passage of time, and 4,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grasses and 500-year-old Ganoderma lucidum have been reproduced. There are 11 sacred grasses, 42 Ganoderma lucidum strains that are more than 100 years old, 88 Ganoderma lucidum grasses that are less than 100 years old, and 812 Ganoderma lucidum grasses that are less than 10 years old. Ganoderma lucidum, taken less than 10 years ago, can repair brain cells and treat most brain diseases including cerebral thrombosis. Lingzi grass, which is less than a century old, can repair brain cells and treat most brain diseases including brain damage, brain tumors, and cerebral thrombosis. Ganoderma lucidum, which is over 100 years old, can cure all brain diseases, increase people's IQ and increase their mental strength. The Ganoderma lucidum that is over 500 years old, in addition to the above effects, can also increase the strength of a person's soul. Ganoderma lucidum, which is over 1,000 years old, has the ability to bring the dead back to life and summon souls. As long as the creature dies within 2 hours, it can be resurrected. How long it can live after resurrection depends on individual circumstances. Ding! Congratulations on getting 2 1,400-year-old Ganoderma lucid grasses, 4,000-year-old Ganoderma lucid grasses, 11 Ganoderma lucid grasses over 500 years old, 42 Ganoderma lucid grasses over 100 years old, and 88 Ganoderma lucidum grasses under 100 years old, 812 Ganoderma lucidum plants under 10 years old. Ding! Congratulations to your friend Chang Wujia for receiving 2 1,400-year-old Ganoderma lucid grasses, 4,000-year-old Ganoderma lucid grasses, 11 Ganoderma lucid grasses over 500 years old, and 42 Ganoderma lucid grasses over 100 years old. There are 88 Ganoderma lucidum plants under 100 years old and 812 Ganoderma lucidum plants under 10 years old. Holy shit! Do you almost jumped up with excitement? This extinct plant turns out to have such miraculous effects. No wonder Ganoderma lucidum is considered to be a fairy grass in legends. It is indeed a fairy grass, and its effect is amazing. It's actually used to treat brain diseases. That's right. In ancient times, if a person's brain contracted a disease, it would be a very difficult problem. Aren't drugs that can treat brain diseases a fairy medicine in the eyes of the ancients? And the ancients believed that the soul might exist in the head, so it is not unreasonable to say that Ganoderma lucidum can bring people back to life and bring their souls back to life. The most important thing is that the system has confirmed this. Of course, if you want to have this kind of soul-reviving effect, you must use 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grass. 500-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grass can also increase the strength of the soul, which is enough to defy the heavens. But there's nothing wrong with that if you think about it. All the things you stole in the past were all perennial plants. Whether it is ginseng or Ganoderma, there is essentially no problem if it can live for hundreds of years. But this Ganoderma lucidum system has been clearly introduced. It is an annual herb. In other words, the life limit of this plant is 1 year. If it can live for 2 years, it is extremely unnatural. It is really a miracle that this person can live for hundreds of years and thousands of years. This means that there is a systematic protection that allows this herb to instantly transmigrate for thousands of years before you can get this 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum. Otherwise, in nature, let alone it is extinct, even if it is not extinct, it grows everywhere in the world, and it is almost impossible to get 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grass. This is like the annual foxtail grass, which is everywhere in the world, but who has seen the 1,000-year-old foxtail grass? Therefore, this 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grass can be regarded as the most incredible thing that you has obtained now. Such a heaven-defying thing, the effect is also extremely heaven-defying. As long as the death does not exceed 2 hours, taking it can revive the opponent. Of course, the individual's injuries must be treated before resurrection. Otherwise, even if he is resurrected, he may die again soon. This kind of Ganoderma lucidum only cares about keeping people alive, not curing diseases. If you are suffering from various terminal diseases such as cancer, even if you are resurrected, it is estimated that you will die again due to recurrence of the disease soon. This may be what the note means. How long you can live after being rescued varies from individual to individual. But even so, it is already extremely outrageous. In addition to being excited, you also began to reply to the other party's messages. Hello, Sister Changsun, your eldest son Li Chengqin was instigated by Hu Junji to rebel after your death, intending to kill his father and seize the throne, and was deposed as the crown prince. Your second son, Li Tai, is the best among all the kings. Prince Li Chengqin has a serious physical illness. After his temperament changed drastically, he lost the emperor's heart, and he developed the desire to seize the throne. Emperor Taizong gradually favored Wei Wang Li Tai, so Li Chengqian was worried and sent people to assassinate Li Tai but failed. His rebellion was partly due to Li Tai's excessive pressure. In order to become the crown prince, King Li Tai of Wei promised to Emperor Taizong that he would kill his son to pass the throne to King Li Ji of the Jin dynasty. His conduct was worrying. So after the prince's rebellion failed, in order to save the lives of his 3 legitimate sons, Li Shimin demoted King Li Tai of Wei to the title of King of Donglai County and named Li Ji the prince. Li Shimin had a talented man named Wu during his lifetime. Wu had an affair with Li Ji during Taizong's lifetime. After Taizong's death, he was sent to Beima Temple and became a nun. But Li Ji thought about it day and night, and later ignored his ancestors' instructions and recalled her to the palace and named her a concubine. Later, she deposed the king and queen and established her as empress, known as Empress Wu. Because Li Ji was weak and sick, Empress Wu often helped him handle political affairs and listened to the affairs behind the curtain. After Li Ji's death, Empress Wu took full power and changed the title of Li Tang's kingdom to Wuzhou, becoming the first empress in the ages. Thank you to Sister Chang Sun for taking the last photo, which allowed us to see her eternity. It's so beautiful. I beg you to have more of your most beautiful photos. At this time, Queen Chang Sun was also surprised by the 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum grass she got. Oh my god, it actually has the effect of bringing the dead back to life. It's really fairy grass. With this kind of thing, it will be difficult to die in the future. It is really a life-saving elixir. The effect of the 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum makes the queens of this country feel their hearts beat faster and their adrenal glands soar. If there weren't many palace people around, Queen Changsun would probably take off her restraints and take a selfie again. Immediately afterwards, after calming down, Empress Changsun saw Du Yu's reply. As she read it one by one, her face turned pale with shock. Then her beautiful face was covered with frost, turning blue and white for a while, and her whole body was shaking with anger. Soon, the palace maids and eunuchs who were waiting next to them saw that the always virtuous and gentle queen was constantly cursing, treason. Everyone is a traitor. It's me, the mother-in-law, who failed to teach them well. I am ashamed of your majesty and the Tang dynasty. How did I teach such a traitor? How can my godson be called a queen through the ages if he fails like this? Killing your father to seize the throne, good, what a good beast. Come here, call that traitorous son of the prince to me. The eunuchs were too far away to hear what was said in front of them, and they heard the queen yelling angrily, call that traitorous prince over to me. This made the eunuchs and maids who heard it tremble in fear. I'm going to choke you. What's wrong with the queen? Is she so angry? Hasn't she always liked His Highness the Crown Prince? Why do you call him a traitor this time? Just as I was thinking this, I heard Empress Changsun shouting, also, bring me my thorns. Today I will beat this traitor to death. The hearts of the maids and eunuchs in this hall almost jumped out of their chests. Oh my god, how did the prince anger the queen? The queen has never beaten the prince before, and this time she wants to beat him with thorn sticks. What should we do? Do you want to inform the emperor? Seeing the eunuch and the maid kneeling on the ground shivering in fear, Queen Changsun slapped the table and said, why don't you go quickly? Tie this traitor to me directly. Yes, yes, Empress, we are going right now. Not long after the two eunuchs exited, they heard a snap. Looking back, a porcelain bowl was thrown to the ground by Empress Changsun in anger. Empress Changsun was gentle and virtuous, and she was very frugal and did not like luxury. She had never behaved like this in a rage and threw things in a luxurious manner. You can know how angry the queen is now. Those eunuchs can only think in their hearts, Your Highness, please wish yourself well. Then they heard the queen yelling loudly, treason, everyone is a traitor. The second child is also a traitor. Scheming to seize the legitimate son, forcing his brother to rebel, and killing his son to pass the throne is something he can say. Beast, how could I give birth to such a beast? Tie up your dick as well. What are you doing standing there? Why don't you go quickly? Get out of here. The more Empress Changsun read this information, the more she became trembling with anger. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but pick up a teacup and threw it to the ground, then touched her belly and said softly, the third child is also. You dare to favor your father's talents. You did such a treacherous thing and still made the other party your queen. You are all beasts. It seems that I have softened my heart. What's the use of beasts like you? Li Tang's country was defeated at your hands. You let a little girl become the emperor. You deserve to die. I want to reconsider whether to have you again. After shaking with anger for a long time, Empress Changsun slowly calmed down and said to herself, if I don't give birth to this third son, the eldest and second son will also be beasts. Do we have to pass the throne to them? The boss can kill his father and seize the throne. If he becomes the emperor, which of your majesty's bloodlines will survive? The second child can actually say something like killing his own son to pass on the throne. He can even kill his own children, let alone brothers and sisters. Tiger poison cannot eat its seeds. Such a beast must not be allowed to rise to power. Otherwise, none of his brothers and sisters will survive. But if I pass it on to the third child, will I, Li Tang, die in the third life? What to do? What to do? By the way, there is another way. I can have another child in the future and give him a good education. Historically, I gave birth to 3 sons, and my beauty died young, but now I have so many spirit medicines. Since I can live forever, I will have more sons and find a suitable one to inherit the throne. At this time, Tang Gaozong Li Ji was trembling in his mother's womb. Oh my god, I almost don't want to give birth to me. Mother, Xiao Jiji was wrong. Mother, please spare my life. Uori, I haven't even been born yet, and my throne is gone. Who the hell am I going to explain to you? Who the hell is snitching on me behind my back? Stand up for me. At this time, there was a lot of excitement in the palace, and several eunuchs followed the queen's order to arrest the prince and Wei Wang Li Tai. Several eunuchs hurried to Li Shimin to report. After all, this matter is really too big, and only the emperor can handle it now. Li Shimin was also shocked when he received the report. He quickly dropped the memorial and hurried to the harem. Walking outside the queen's palace, I heard the roar of Queen Changsun from a distance. You traitor. Today I will beat you 2 traitors to death. I will pretend from now on that I never gave birth to you 2 beasts. Li Shimin turned around the palace door and saw Empress Changsun holding a wattle stick in her hand, and young Li Chengqian and Li Taizheng both kneeling there. Empress Changsun waved the wattle tree with her jade hand, crackling and waving it so hard. The 2 children were beaten until they screamed, crying and shouting in confusion. I don't know why the normally loving mother went crazy and beat them today. The beating was so severe, it was really the kind of beating that would kill someone. This shocked Li Shimin. No matter what, this is his biological son. Seeing that Queen Changsun was really beaten, the backs of the 2 children were bleeding. Li Shimin's heart twitched, and he felt distressed. He quickly stepped forward and grabbed Empress Changsun's hand and snatched the thorn stick away. Mr. Guanyin, what's wrong with you? How did these 2 traitors offend you and make you so angry? But she didn't expect Empress Changsun to be filled with tears, saying that the blow was meant to hurt her son's body but hurt her mother's heart. Although they were angered by Li Chengqian and Li Tai, they kept calling each other and a traitor. But this is his own son after all, and while he was beating him, he was also feeling distressed. Empress Changsun knelt down in front of Li Shimin. Your Majesty, my concubine's moral conduct is lacking. She has not educated these 2 rebellious sons well. Her virtue is not worthy of her position. I invite you to go to the Empress now and hope that your Majesty will agree. This shocked Li Shimin. Empress Changsun asked to depose herself as Empress. What big thing happened? He quickly said, where can I say this after love? Please get up quickly. Since you became the queen, you have been gentle and virtuous, and your motherly deeds have been witnessed by all the emperors and ministers of the Tang dynasty. Why are you saying this now? Empress Changsun cried and said, but I have given birth to such 2 rebellious sons. How can I be the queen again? This made Li Shimin even more confused. What did these 2 traitors do to make the queen so angry? Queen Changsun then stood up, looked at the maids and eunuchs around her and shouted, you all get out of the palace gate. Take these 2 traitors out of here too. From now on, no one is allowed to approach the area 10 feet away from my palace. I will kill you without mercy. The eunuchs and maids were so frightened that they hurriedly carried Li Chengqian and Li Tai out of the palace. Empress Changsun took Li Shimin into the boudoir. After sitting down, Empress Changsun cried and said, Your Majesty, I am sorry for you. I didn't expect that I would be a virtuous person throughout my life and would be rated as a queen through the ages, but yet I would give birth to 3 beasts. I have 3 sons for the emperor. Each one is more rebellious and more than the other. I don't know how to educate them. I feel guilty. Li Shimin couldn't help but ask, after love, what happened? Can you tell me in detail? Empress Changsun nodded and said, Your Majesty, do you still remember what I told you yesterday about the magical system that I got? The other party said that our 3rd son would inherit the throne in the future and almost lost the Tang dynasty. I asked the other party in detail today. My future friend, do you explain the situation to me in detail? After reading this book, I felt very sad. I really don't know why you and I gave birth to 3 beasts. Li Shimin was even more confused after hearing this and asked, what is going on? Empress Changsun wiped her tears and said, Your Majesty, does Your Majesty know why our eldest son did not inherit the throne? It was because he was later instigated by Hu Junji to kill his father and seize the throne. The matter was exposed and he was deposed by His Majesty. Hearing this, Li Shimin jumped up in shock and trembled with anger, You traitor! Why is this so? Killing his father to seize the throne, why would he do this? Suddenly, Li Shimin's eyes widened, he calmed down again, and then said, Queen, that's not right. It's not necessary. He is already the prince, and my throne will be passed to him in the future. Why do I want to kill my father to seize the throne? This doesn't make sense logically. Queen Changsun said. The other party said that our eldest son will suffer from leg disease in the future, so he will not be favored by His Majesty. That's why Li Tai, the 2nd oldest child, had the desire to seize the direct descendant. In order to keep his throne, the eldest son Chengqian sent someone to assassinate the 2nd son. After the failure, he was worried that the matter would be exposed, so he prepared to kill his father and seize the throne. After hearing this, Li Shimin also sat up in shock and fell down on the stool. At this time, he had already believed this, because what the other party said was conclusive. The most important thing is that Li Chengqian is still young, has no leg disease, and his moral character is acceptable. Therefore, Li Shimin really can't think of a reason for deposing the other prince. But if Li Chengqian really suffers from leg disease and becomes a cripple in the future, it will indeed lose the dignity of the emperor. I'm just afraid that when the time comes, it may indeed make me feel unhappy. This dignified emperor can't be a cripple, right? Doesn't this make people laugh? If he had other thoughts, then the 2nd child would have a chance. Under such circumstances, it is not impossible for the 2nd child to have the desire to seize the legitimate son. In order to protect himself, the boss might actually do something like kill his brother and his father. Thinking of this, Li Shimin was a little lost and said to himself, I did something wrong back then and gave them a bad start. I was able to kill the prince and seize the throne back then. In their eyes, they can do the same. Although the boss is a beast, he was forced to do so. He is worried that he will become the 2nd Li Jiancheng. Empress Changsun grabbed Li Shimin's hand and said, Your Majesty, you don't have to blame yourself. You were also forced back then. The prince wanted to kill you, but you had no choice but to do so. Li Shimin shook his head and sighed, although this is true, how many future generations can believe it? I ended up getting off to a bad start. If your son and I are like this, in the future, the royal families of the Tang dynasty will have fratricide every time the throne changes. People will say, if I, Li Shimin, can do it, so can they. My ancestors did it, why can't I do it? After sighing, Li Shimin asked again, what's going on with the 2nd child? Why didn't he inherit the throne? Why do you say that the 2nd child is also a beast and a traitor? After hearing this, Empress Changsun gritted her teeth and said, the 2nd child's rebelliousness is as great as the elder brother's. Let's not forget that he had the desire to seize the legitimate son and force the boss to rebel. In order to obtain the position of crown prince, he actually promised Your Majesty that if he ascends the throne and becomes emperor, he will kill his son to pass the throne to our 3rd son Li Ji in the future. Hearing this, Li Shimin jumped up in shock again, what? Kill your son to pass the throne? Beast, beast, tiger poison doesn't even eat its seeds. He can even kill his own son, how can I trust him not to kill his own brothers and sisters? If he becomes the emperor, wouldn't he want to kill all my other sons in order to consolidate the throne? Empress Changsun said. Yes, that's exactly the case. Because of this, the future emperor listened to his words and did not pass the throne to him. Instead, he was demoted to the king of Donglai County, and our third son Li Ji was made the crown prince and inherited the throne. At this time, Li Shimin was also upset. Fortunately, we have a third son. After hearing this, Empress Changsun cried again, Your Majesty, I am sorry for you. This third son is also a rebellious person. I am ashamed of the emperor and the ancestors of the Li family. Li Shimin was shocked again and said, Why did the queen say this? Empress Changsun said, After our third son became the crown prince, he actually had an affair with a talented person whom you, the emperor, favored. Then it is your harem after all. What he did will undoubtedly bring trouble to the palace. It is not an exaggeration to say it is incest. Hearing this, Li Shimin was so angry that he kept gasping and cursed, You traitor. After a while, he sighed helplessly and said, Forget it, this kind of thing has happened since ancient times. I won't force anything on him, as long as he can protect our country. Li Shimin clenched his fist, slammed it on the table and said, Let him go. Empress Changsun shook her head and said, Your Majesty, it was this talented person who destroyed our country in the Tang dynasty. Hearing this, Li Shimin almost fell to the ground in fright. What? Empress Changsun nodded and said, The other party told me that this talented man's surname is Wu. I was favored by His Majesty during his lifetime. After His Majesty's death, he was sent to the White Horse Temple to become a nun according to the ancestral rules. When Li Shimin heard this, he jumped up in surprise and said, Yes. Since she has been sent to the White Horse Temple to become a nun, how can she cause trouble to the world of Li Tang? Queen Changsun said, This is what the traitor did. He ignored the ancestral system and brought this disaster back from White Horse Temple. And later he deposed the queen and made her the queen. Li Shimin's eyes widened in surprise. Is there such a naughty operation? But when I think about it carefully, it seems that it's not impossible. After he dies, he will be the emperor and the greatest in the world. If he is so determined, there is really no guarantee that anyone can stop him. Then Li Shimin said again, That's not right. Will the officials below allow him to act so randomly? Even if the other ministers don't care, what about Wuji? Wuji is his uncle, how can he be allowed to do such nonsense? Queen Changsun was stunned for a moment when she said this, and then said, Yes. There is also his uncle Wuji. But the other party didn't mention my brother. Could it be that my brother had passed away before that? So no one can cure this traitor. This made Empress Changsun suddenly feel worried again. Li Shimin frowned and said, I'm afraid that's the case. Otherwise, Changsun Wuji will not let him mess around. After you fall in love, tell me again, how can this little talented person, even if he becomes a queen, harm my country, Li Tang? Empress Changsun said, Our third son has been weak and sick since childhood. After becoming the emperor, his health became even worse, so he allowed the Empress Wu to intervene in the government affairs, help him deal with official affairs, and allowed her to listen to the affairs behind the curtain. By the time our son dies, the other party will already have all the power. Then the other party did something unprecedented. They changed my name, Li Tang Zhongshan, to Wu Zhou, established myself as the emperor, and became the first female emperor in the history. Hearing this, Li Shimin suddenly fell to the ground, a little lost. How could this happen? The best empress of all time. If a woman is the emperor, will there not be any loyal ministers or opponents in the civil and military dynasties? Empress Changsun stepped forward to help Li Shimin up, shook her head and said doubtfully, Your Majesty, we only send 10 messages to each other every day. So that's all the other party said today. After Li Shimin sat down, he felt that half of his body was empty. How could this happen? Then my country, the Tang dynasty, will perish in 3 generations. Then wouldn't I become Yingzheng and Emperor Yang of Sui in history? What should we do? What should we do? At this time, Empress Changsun gritted her teeth and said, How about we not give birth to our third son? Li Shimin asked in return, If I don't give birth to him, who will the throne be passed to? The eldest and the second are so vicious. One can kill his brother and his father, and the other can kill his son and pass on the throne. How much better would it be to make them emperors than the third child? Speaking of this, Li Shimin grabbed Queen Changsun's hand and said, Guanyin, let's have more sons. These 3 large trumpets are useless, let's practice another trumpet. If these 3 sons can be saved, we will save them. If we can't save them, we will pass the throne to the 4th and 5th sons in the future. If that doesn't work, the 6th and 7th sons will do. Empress Chang poured a cup of tea for Li Shimin, and then said, Your Majesty, please drink a cup of tea first to calm down your shock. At first, that's what I thought too. But I still think it's inappropriate. Let's not talk about whether the throne will be passed on to the 4th, 5th, or even 6th and 7th sons in the future. Will they be like these traitors? By doing this, doesn't it clearly tell future generations that the throne of the Tang dynasty can be fought for at will? Even if we stabilize the 3rd and 4th generations, what about the 5th and 6th generations? The country of Tang dynasty will still be in chaos. When Li Shimin heard this, he nodded and said dejectedly, Yes, this is to clearly tell all future princes that the throne can be inherited in an orderly manner regardless of age, and that everyone can compete for the throne. After that, every time the throne changes, the entire royal family will flow like a river of blood. When that time comes, I'm afraid that my Li Tang bloodline will not be lost in the hands of others, but first in the hands of my own family. This is indeed not a good idea, but what else is there? It's better than dying in 3 lifetimes, right? Empress Chang said, Your Majesty, I carefully analyzed this information and discovered a key issue. The fundamental reason why the eldest son failed to inherit the throne and his temperament changed drastically is because he suffered from a leg disease and became a lame. What would have been the result if this had not happened? Now that I have these magical systems and can get a lot of divine medicine, I don't believe there are any leg diseases that I can't cure. As long as the boss is not a cripple and we educate him well and educate him into a wise king, then won't the Tang be able to bring order to things in the future? Hearing this, Li Shimin couldn't help but slap the table and said excitedly, Yes, that makes sense. The reason why this happened is because he contracted a leg disease and became a lame, and I had the desire to abolish him. If it hadn't been for this, the outcome might have been completely different. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.